invitations, just sort of informal invitations, but just expressing what's going on Friday at 8:30 at the high school when we have our pep rally. And Kristen came along. She's one of our donors, our Beautiful Lanes donors. This is our become kind of hopefully now a running tradition with us to have this at every winter pep rally. And this year we started out a little early. We started. Hold up these fabulous shirts. Kristen will model the fabulous shirts.
Nice.
We started out with these I Pledge shirts back in September. As people signed up, they would get them. And we talked about it at the September pep rally, kind of getting things going. And on Thursday, the day before, they'll get these fabulous shirts, which are the official logo of Pantene Beautiful Lengths this year. Pantene Beautiful Lengths doesn't, reimburse us for these shirts at all. We're doing all that on our own. We're sort of doing that as our own group. And I think giving out those other shirts really worked out well because we kind of front-loaded everything. People got a chance to see people and say, wow, you're really doing it. Well, last year was very sort of a quick process, and they saw them come back to class that day with their new hair and shirt, but they really didn't have time to sort of, enjoy it a little bit and have people recognize them for that and all. So this year we did it a little bit differently, and we ended up, now we've got 132 people. Last year we had 67, and we thought, well, we'll be tapped out. How many more people are there? And it's been phenomenal. And as it says on that sheet, I always say Londonderry High School is the greatest place in the world to work because half the kids are heroes, half are angels. The heroes are the ones that are out on the fields, putting in all that time, practicing for the sports. And the angels are people like Kristen who put money into the food drives and do all that kind of work and donate for this. And it's amazing when you get a chance to come on Friday to see all the sports teams, which of course this is their big season, giving themselves over to these guys and really supporting them, and everyone in the school supporting them, and the stylists that have come from all over the community to come and help us out, who, obviously are giving up part of their day. It's amazing to see everyone come together like that. It's just fantastic. And I've talked to Steve Young a number of times about it, and we've been, sort of communicating back and forth, and he's been lending support as well on the website and all, trying to get everything going. So it's been an amazing journey that, I won't sleep till Friday because this has got to go right. This has got to go right. Would you like to say something, Kristen?
I'm really excited to cut my hair. I just think of all the girls out there who don't have as much hair as I do. I can't imagine my life without it, so I'm excited.
Questions from the board? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thank you very, very much. You guys are awesome.
It's tremendous. I mean, last year at 67, I think you were one of the biggest ones that have ever done it, and at 132, you just blew away everyone else. I mean, that's tremendous. What a wonderful place to be, Londonderry High School, and you guys just make it that way. Thank you very much.
We've applied for a claim number with the Guinness Book of World Records, and they sent us the claim number. So now it's a matter of sending all the verification and going on from that. And it's about an 8-page booklet, but it's not hard to go through. And so we'll send all that in. Of course, there's rumors all over the place saying, oh, no, this school had so many, that school had so many. And the guy from Guinness said to me, that's why we have the book, because everyone says, I saw someone jump 40 feet, but, can you prove it? And they say, send us a verification and you're on. So everyone's kind of excited about that, too. That buzz has been going around the school a little bit.
You got one more person?
ahead.
Yeah, we do.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Kayla, come on out.
I've got another question while she's coming out. Oh,
Don't be sorry. We threw you. Now you know what the rest of your life commuting is going to be like.
Kayla is a donor. She's also a pep rally aide. So she's sort of one of those people who helps me juggle the paperwork and make things happen.
Oh, okay.
Steve, you had a question?
I do have a question. First of all, thanks to the union leader, Adam. I think that was this morning. It was a huge spread. Was that yesterday morning? Okay.
Does that mean you can get lunch today? or
We
what?
understand reporters don't make enough money to buy the paper. So. There's a huge spread. It's top of the fold, the whole section in the local section today. The front section was all full of politics, so as well as the high school this evening. Steve, you were looking for, weren't you looking for donors, for donations? Could you maybe just talk a little bit about that?
think this stand-up mic probably works, Steve.
Yeah, we're always looking for, you know, corporate sponsors or any sponsors we could get, because right now we've got a very large debt. I mean, Pep Rally doesn't have any budget. I mean, I don't get a stipend, which is fine because I don't mind that. The big thing is, you know, paying for the shirts and things we've done. You know, obviously it's such a small committee. It's Michaela and I and Allie and Art Salidas. We can't really run bake sales very well. So it's just a situation where we go out and sort of ask, and I've sent notices around to a lot of, you know, companies in town and that sort of thing, seeing if we can get any, because we don't ever charge anyone for any of the shirts. And this year we've sent to a number of places to ask for giveaways. And for example, we have an autographed Jonathan Papelbon picture that we're giving away to someone in the group on Friday, and we have I think it's a Ray Allen picture we have that's an autographed picture. And when they send it to us, when the Red Sox and the Celtics send us those things, they say, well, are you going to hold an auction? Are you going to hold a raffle? Like what? And I really think we want to shy away from that. You don't want, someone who has the cash to get it can have it, or someone who can buy enough raffle tickets. I think it's just like the shirts, it's just a free and open raffle. So we try to keep everything as sort of even that way as possible and hope that, you know, corporations and things come through. And luckily, you know, Embroidery Creations here in town makes all the shirts and just says, you know, pay us when you can, which is fantastic because we'd be in a lot of trouble without them. And everything else that we get sort of as we're building toward it, other things we have for giveaways and that sort of thing. So yeah, we desperately need funding anywhere we can.
Not to put you on the spot, but I'll make the plea. I mean, it was a great article today, and I think that if there's anyone in the community, we have people that have come forward that are going to trim you guys up when you're all done. I understand. But if there's anyone in the community that would like to make cash donations, they can send those, their interest in helping out to sjuster@londonderry.org. That'd be the best way to contact you.
Absolutely.
So if
Greatly.
anyone's not across the street at the polls, or happens to see this in reruns, we're not looking to fund any person or salaries or stipends. You're looking to fund the cost of materials, the T-shirts, because you have 132?
Yeah.
132 people that will be donating.
And they're giving such a priceless gift. There's no way to put any kind of value on it besides, you know, give them shirts, give them something to remember that. And, you know, we asked for a lot of guests to come, and, you know, they say, well, we can't get a player to come, we can't get that sort of thing. But we have a number of people from New England American Cancer Society, which I know will mean a lot to the girls. A lot of the girls have cancer survivors coming to cut their hair, you know, aunts, uncles, people, you know, mothers who have sort of survived it, come through the treatment as best they can, and will be there that day. And I know it'll mean a lot to them to have, you know, when we called the American Cancer Society, they said, we're going to bring something for the girls, plus we're going to bring all our representatives. Like, we're going to bring 3 different representatives because obviously that's someplace we want to be. It's a great good news thing for all the, you know, sort of, you know, horrendous news sometimes we have to deal with day to day. So it's really amazing that they're coming, and I think that'll mean an awful lot to the girls as well. And students, actually, we have a couple of boys who are doing
I
it
was
as
just
well.
gonna say, I think there's,
Yeah.
didn't I see in the picture a couple boys?
Yep.
Like maybe Chip?
Yeah, Chip's doing it, and Mary's doing it. So we have staff members as well.
Thank you.
A number of staff members who have really,
You
I
knew
think,
you.
helped motivate people too. You know, they'll see a staff member sign up and they go, that's fantastic, I'll do that as well. So it's been really great.
Kelly, would you like to say something?
Well, I was like kind of nervous at first, like donating it because my hair like wasn't that long. And at a previous pep rally, I was with a bunch of like my girlfriends, and one of my like good friends made like a speech. She donated her hair before the pep rally, and this woman like walked up to her and she was like in tears, and she was like, I just wanted to like thank you for everything, because like it meant so much to her, and like just for us like cutting our hair, it's not really like, obviously I'll cry, but like I've never really had anyone like die from cancer in my family, I guess you could say, but you could tell like she was just like heartbroken. She like gave her a hug and she was in tears, and she just said like, thank you so much for donating your hair. So it like really like triggered me, and I like am so excited to do it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully see you on Friday.
Girls, thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very much.
Okay, Peter, let's go to 3.1, the auditor's report.
Yes, David Fouquet from the audit firm of Vashon and Fouquet is here to present, discuss the results of the findings of FY 207 audit and possibly some future GASB regulations that Peter and I will probably be discussing with you in the future, and obviously any questions about the audit the board may have.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's your meeting, and I'll entertain questions at any time, but I would like to quickly go through a couple of things, basically audit process, and a quick run through the reports on where to find things.
Okay.
We delivered the financial statements. In the financial statements, there are 3 reports. The first is the normal auditor's report, our opinion on the financial statements themselves. Then there are 2 other reports required by, well, the format is required by the federal audit standards, but the report itself on internal control is also required by state law. So that is a combined thing, more in a federal format than a normal audit format. We also delivered to you something called a SFSAC, which is a part of the reporting package. It's filed with the federal government. I don't think that you ever see it. It's something that's signed by the administration and then goes with the audit report to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. It's basically a repeat of the information that's on page 21 and 27 and 28 of the financial statements, which is just the schedule. The 21 is a schedule of federal awards, and the 27 and 28 are some required notes about the rewards, which are repeated in this package. Our responsibilities of auditors, as auditors, were set out in an engagement letter that was dated August 4th. It's 5 pages long. I'm sure that Peter would be happy to provide you a copy. I believe it was signed by the chairman, wasn't it? That talks about what our responsibilities are and somewhat about your responsibilities are. The second topic I quickly cover is the significant accounting policies, which are in Note 1 to the financial statements. There were no changes in accounting policies from the prior year, and your accounting policies are just straight down the line. There's nothing different or odd about them. The next thing I would like to tell you is that there were no adjustments to your books for this audit. There are absolutely no adjustments at all. Now, there are, under GASB 34, there are a couple bases of accounting we're using, but if you look at page 19 of the audit report, that's the budget and actual statement, which includes encumbrances, and that's ends up with a on your DOE 25, which is the state report that you file with the state. The fund balance, the unreserved fund balance, or the fund balance available to reduce taxes, is exactly the same. The budget comes right off your MS-22, which is the budget form that's filed with the state after the meeting is voted. We had no problems with management at all. Sometimes during the year they do call us, and we talk about accounting issues if something comes up, but none of these discussions had anything to do with our retention as auditors. We encountered no difficulties in doing this audit. Things were provided to us in a timely manner. Can't say it's one of the better audits that we do, or a better set of financial statements that we see. Now, as I said before, we go from the page 19 of the, which is the same as the DOE 25. The difference is, the only difference that it has is that encumbrances are included in that as expenses because they're charges against the budget. So it's your actual expenses plus the encumbrances, which are charged against the budget. That schedule flows to Exhibit D on page 4, which includes, that's the general fund only. That statement on page 4 is the income statement for, on the modified accrual basis income statement, for the general fund and what we call major governmental funds and the aggregate remaining fund information. When you name when you report the funds like that, any fund that has either 10% of total assets, 10% of total liabilities, 10% of total revenue, or 10% of total expenditures is designated a major fund. Everything else is lumped together. The last 2 pages of the financial statements show the remaining funds that don't qualify as major funds. The capital project funds qualifies as the capital projects fund qualifies as a major fund, but I believe that's about wound down now, isn't it? But still had enough to qualify as a major fund. On page 3 is the balance sheet for those funds. Again, because of your modified accrual accounting that you're doing under state regulation, you have no choice. But as far as it goes here, there are not much in the way of differences. The differences are explained on page 20 in reconciling to that schedule, but there's an in and out item and the encumbrances. Exhibit C on page 3 is the balance sheet under modified accrual basis for the funds, and then Exhibit C and Exhibit D contain a reconciliation to the pages 1 and 2, which are the full accrual statements. Again, they're not, basically just adding the long-term or the capital assets and the long-term liabilities. Are there any questions from the board?
Questions from you? No? Dan?
I guess this question may be for Peter. What fund balance reserves do we have? Would the SPED trust fund be one of those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
No, they're not.
115,000.
They're our money, even though they're maintained or managed by the trustee of trust funds.
So the SPED trust is the only one that comes to mind for me, so what else do we have?
Maintenance trust.
Oh, maintenance, okay.
We got the, capital
I think
building.
that gets me there because it's about 636,000, so that'd be the maintenance trust and the SPED trust. Okay, if I could ask another
Go
question.
ahead.
If you flip to page 13,
It's similar to the design we use in town council.
is that 433 the balance of the maintenance trust fund, or is that impact fees, or held by the town of Londonderry trustees of the trust funds?
It would be your capital reserve funds, or or your trust funds.
So I didn't know we had a capital reserve fund.
Well, it's,
Our
So I guess I'm just asking, what comprises that number? You see it on page 13?
Page, started at 589, 591, and 593 in the books.
What?
Sorry, I'm off a page. Page 587, 89, and 91 in the budget book.
Oh.
If you pick the balance as of the beginning balance for FY08, which is the ending balance for FY07. If you add those three together, it should be that number. Which is the three trust funds.
What are the three trust funds? Can you just,
The maintenance trust, the capital reserve trust, and the special ed trust fund.
Don't forget, you get a small capital projects fund.
How long, we talked about this last year, didn't we wipe that out?
Almost. Almost.
How much is left? That's what I'm saying, I didn't know. I realize that, but,
30,458.72.
so what's, the capital trust fund now is 30,000? Okay.
You used quite a bit of it when we did Moose Hill.
Right. I thought we wiped out the majority of it. Okay.
anything else, Dan?
I'm all set. Thank you. Thank you.
I think Peter needs to explain when we did Moose Hill.
Peter,
Moose Hill was 2001. I believe 2 years before that, district had set up a fund called Capital Projects, and I think the intent was to put $100,000 in every year, so that when you did a bond, or I'll call the word medium project, you had monies that we do in maintenance trust fund, that could offset the cost, so you wouldn't bond as much or loan, or go into debt as much. You could have, let's say it was a $2 million, you might have had $750 in trust, and then only bond 1,200. It was that type, but it only went, I think, 1 year, and I think we started putting money into maintenance trust after that.
Ron, I do have one
Go
more.
ahead.
One more question. The compensated absences, have we been accruing that for quite some time now?
You've been accruing it? It has to get reported
Right.
on here as, we keep record of it.
I was going to say, wasn't there some talk that at some point we may have to do similar type accounting for the anticipated retirement number?
Actually, that's that would be GASB 45, which is
So where does
coming.
that stand?
That's going to be, that, believe it would be 09 or 10, 09, fiscal year 09, 10.
So that'd be a significant transaction on our balance sheet.
The current portion would be charged against your budgetary accounts within
Right.
the modified accruals. The long-term portion would go on to the government-wide financial statements.
Right,
as
I
you
understand,
get
but
us.
it'd be, just for the board's edification, it's coming, and that's going to be a significant difference in our financial reporting.
Yeah. That was one of the things when we talked with David, we wanted to bring up, so it wasn't a surprise from us when we get there.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? I see none. You want to continue?
I'm fine.
Okay, I thought you were going to talk about the, what's coming up in the future.
Well, GASB 45 is.
Oh, I apologize, I jumped the gun.
Okay, no, we got there.
Okay.
The other one is SAS, deals with an internal,
But 112 was in effect this year, which has basically changed the language of your internal control letter. Although it doesn't affect the Londonderry School District at all, it's lowered the bar on what is a material weakness in internal control, what is a significant deficiency in internal control, and what is a control deficiency, it's called. Those used to be, the significant deficiency area used to be in the management point sector, but again, it's not a problem here because your systems are established and running the way they are established.
Okay. Any questions? We're all set?
I don't know what
Okay,
that
thank you very
means.
much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the South School construction project and renovations.
yes.
I'll talk to
Peter,
Before- okay.
I want to introduce
Well-
the members of the committee that are here.
Introduce the committee members as pointed out to me by the superintendent while Chuck was getting ready and so forth. School board members on the South School Space Needs Committee, Dan Beaver and Ben Parker. The district staff, myself, Chuck Zappala, Ben Kittering, Ben Loy, and Joe Oswald. Two teachers, Don Gray and Tony D. We have parents, Joanna Hayes, Mary Lynn Soares. Community members, Dan Gunnery, and Mr. Lincoln is in Florida. We have with us tonight is Frank Marinese, the architect of the project, and representing Procon tonight is Dan Messier. Trying to find. We have, before we get started, we have the handouts. How much ones we got here? You all have these. I'll put these in the front and you pass them out. I'll start with you. What I'll do is run through the project as proposed and recommended by the committee. And then we can get into, and we get some questions on decision points. The total cost of the project recommended by the committee, $5,447,000. Broken out is general construction, renovations, and site, $4,200,000. That's the cost of 9 new classrooms. Remember, we're taking 2 out of the general inventory, but you have 8 now. You're losing 3 classrooms in the main building with the renovations proposed in the project, and then you lose 2 in total inventory. That gets you to 9 newly constructed classrooms in the area. That includes relocation of the main office. It includes renovation of the nurse. This is similar to what we did at North School, where you've got nurse's office that is woefully inadequate for the amount of kids at South School. Similar we did at North. We take the adjacent classroom, break it in half, use half of it to expand the nurse's office and quarters, take the other half and make it a faculty room. Parking lot in front of the main building. I believe there's trees and nice grassy area or knoll. New generator, replacement generator. AC in the media center. I'm missing one thing. Parking in the rear. Parking lot addition, there's, if you can visualize the main building, the back, adjacent to the beginning of the playground, we identified an area where we could get about 30 parking spots and help alleviate parking congestion at South School. Playground equipment allowance, $100,000. Paving and reconstruction of existing parking and roadway. This is a total reconstruct, similar to what we did at the high school main lot this past summer. We would just basically dig up the asphalt, put in the sub-base where appropriate, drainage, so forth and so on. The estimated cost for that is $327,000. Built-up roof on the addition, it's an add-on, it's $69,354. Built-up roof on the existing area. This is the areas that would be identified in the maintenance trust if this project wasn't going forward. This is in the back of the building. In addition, the add-on cost to do a built-up roof, the existing area is $179,073. Estimated cost of the project for furnishings, we do our own carpet as we normally done in other projects. The estimated cost was $40,000. Administrative, bond counsel, legal, so forth was $20,000. testing of 112, a contingency of 252,000, gets you to $5,200,000. We then had many discussions on the last ad, and that is what to do with the students during construction. And the committee met for several hours past Saturday to go over the findings and the GMP from Procon. And the committee is recommending that we rent for approximately 9 months modular classrooms that would be placed in the back of the playground area, the parking area. And the estimated cost of those, of the rental of those modular classrooms during construction is $247,000. And that gets you to the $5,447,000 project. The bottom line there is architectural engineering of $370,000 has already been appropriated, as we know, through two warrant articles the past 2 years. But we wanted to put that on to show what the total cost of this thing is, construction as well as architectural engineering.
200,000.
Questions from the board or comments? Go ahead.
Peter, just doing quick math. Essentially, we're at the 9 new classrooms. If I take out the 142 on the general construction renovations and site development, does that mean those 9 classrooms are $4 million? Or what am I missing?
I was.
Okay, if I subtract out $143,000, let's say, for the items that you've got included, the 5 items included in GMP, that leaves me in that 4.2 million, about 4 million left. So what you're telling me is 9 classrooms is $4 million? Maybe I just don't understand.
GMP includes the new construction,
Right,
the renovations.
which I just removed because the renovations of those 5 items, the 142,000 cover the renovations, correct?
Well, but
There are a lot of renovations that aren't listed on detail.
Okay.
And
So what's the cost of the new construction? How much do the 9 classrooms cost?
Peter, can I make a suggestion?
Good.
So that the other board members get a feel for what's gonna take place? Could you walk, you've got the chart there, walk them through what's gonna happen with the new construction, the sprinkler system, what rooms are gonna be reconfigured, what adjustments are gonna be made there?
Peter, would it be possible to move that out a little bit more so we can see it?
what do you want?
Well, make sure they can be seen on TV.
Yeah, the
TV
important thing
camera.
is to-
Hold on,
You have to put it
hold
out
on,
there, put it out there.
Hold on. I think I might have it. We may turn the lights down, but that's essentially the same plan as here. What the project entails is in blue. Oh, I could probably do here. In blue is the proposed new classrooms, okay? In the red or orange, whatever color, is, these are all the renovations to the interior main classroom. Here is where the nurses' quarters is, and there's the classroom adjacent. We would take that classroom in half and expand the nurses' quarters, and the other half becomes the faculty. The nurses' area, as you see, gets divvied up into special education areas. And the main office gets pushed.
Peter, can you start with the 4.2? Let's work down the list here of What is the 4.2, what is the classrooms, do we have a cost for the construction there? I think that was the real question on the blue area. What is the cost of that?
We asked that question, it's not a clean number to say these cost X amount of dollars, because there's work in the interior that has to be done, and once you do this. For example, the 4.2 would include the road, the fire lane going around the building. You'd have to also do, as we mentioned, the sprinkler system inside the building.
And those are because of their code requirements, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's other, I'll use efficiencies that go on that make the numbers seem small when we say it's only $34,000 to leave the main office where it is. Because you're doing so much as it is, that number is much smaller than if you were to do this thing as a standalone project. If that makes any sense to you. So the
Actually,
4.2 includes.
It doesn't, Peter. Can you go into greater detail as to what we're doing in addition to the fire lane, the sprinkler system? What else we're doing in the building for the $4.2 million?
The 4.2 is the road, the new construction. It's the parking right here. It's the renovations in the red area, and you can't see it, but I'm gonna say right around here is the small parking area. That's the 4.2.
And Peter, just so everyone understands, the renovations on the inside, what changes are we making inside the building?
Inside the building, the main changes are, this is the nurse's office as it sits today, deemed inadequate to support the number of kids in the building. This is the room next to it, where it would be split in half. Half would be given or donate, whatever, to the nurses' quarters. The other half becomes a faculty room. See right here, the red, the plan provides a fair amount of sped office, conference rooms, small areas. This is where the main office is now. We take them out of the closets and small areas around here. We put them all in here. We move the main office to the outside of the building for safety and improvements. Okay? This office, this here, I can't remember what that's the music room here. This is the art room here. Also, this small little area, remember we talked about a storage area a couple of years ago, that gets built. So that's the renovation, and inside of the building, as we know, the whole building becomes sprinkled.
The storage area, is that heated? Or is that just open to the atmosphere?
Yes. Yes. If you remember, the footings are already there when we did our walkway walkthroughs. There's a small area that the footings are already there. That's the area that there would be a storage right next to the gymnasium.
Okay. HVAC or boilers, is there additional boilers being put in here? Just what we have is what we got? Okay.
The library gets, the media center becomes air conditioned. Don't forget, when you get your modular classrooms now, they're electric heat, and they also provide AC. When you lose them, there's no areas in the building for air conditioning when you have summer programs. So the idea was, as we did in North School, to provide AC to the media center.
We're not doing any work to the existing, the new and old gym. We're just changing the storage room in between that. I'm trying to work this way, so
Yeah.
there's
The only
nothing.
thing we're doing to the gym, Ron, is the flooring.
We're putting a new floor in there?
Yeah.
okay? We're coming across, we hit the music room there, and we're just making that room bigger and making it a music room now. Okay, you're coming in the front here, and that becomes the administrative offices over there,
Right here.
okay?
From here to here.
Okay,
And then you take your sped that's in small areas, and you put all the small areas, conference room, basically where the main office is now.
okay,
The bathrooms, I can't, right here. We're expanding them, at one point, we were gonna put bathrooms in the new construction. We didn't have the slope necessary to put in bathrooms without putting in pumps. We decided, with the advice of the architect and everybody else, not to go with pumps, so we're expanding the bathrooms in the front to accommodate the students that would be in the new area. And that's included in the 4.2. And this obviously, this is new, this whole parking area.
and how many spots is that one? Is that the 31 spots in the front,
Yes.
the 43?
Yeah, because this is South.
Okay, so that's the
And
front.
then you better remember, you can't see it, but somewhere in this ballpark here, is that where the parking lot comes now, there's another area for a small section for parking.
What's the cost on that? Because if that's the front, 43,000, what's the cost of the back one?
Right, the 43 is the back row.
Oh, that's the back one.
Right. The front is included in the 4.2.
I guess I got a question. You know, generally in the past, we've looked at a breakout of some of these costs that we're saying is in there. And we've, on other projects, and Dan, am I wrong that we've looked at the GMP on the other projects? It seems like this one here is a whole ball of wax, and I'm being told, my feeling right now, it's like it's in there. In the past, we were on the other projects, and I've been on the middle school, I've been on the high school, and I've been on North School. We've been able to look at the individual projects of what's in the GMP and say, maybe I don't want to do something in there. It appears like I don't have that option here. It's all or nothing.
Option, I think we've broken out as much as I think we can give a definitive answer. Like, there are options for paving, there's options for the modulars, if you want to convert the gymnasiums, there's roofing. This wasn't easy to break out new construction because of so much work going inside. It wasn't easy to say, this is X and that is Y.
Peter, are we upgrading the electrical service?
Well, cold work, we're not bringing in cold work.
What?
We're doing cold work, but at one point, we talked about, there may have been a need to bring a whole new power system. No, we don't have to do that. That is not required in this project, that's first thought of. You will need a new water line, as Dan mentioned, in order to accommodate the amount of water pressure that you'll need for a sprinkler system.
Silly question. We're doing the renovations in the main office, and I know part of that cost is in there. Is there any thoughts of that, keep the classrooms there and use the new entrance and almost make a new entrance into the building that way? And did you guys discuss that?
No, we didn't discuss that. Because you want, the whole purpose of moving the main office was so the entrance was so anybody coming into the building, has the ability to be visually seen by, I'll call it building administration before they get the building. Certainly if they're in the building, they can see who entered it. So if you put an entrance here, obviously it's well away from the main office. And then when we're trying to tighten up the security and give the building administration more visibility of who's entering and who's leaving the building.
Other questions by the board? Steve?
This project, as was just described, does not, to me, seem dissimilar from North School in that project. Is that a correct statement? The exception would be that at North School, we were able to continue to use the portables. In this case, the portables are where that blue building is going to be.
Correct.
Okay. What was the square footage, because North School had the similar process where the nurse's office was expanded. We had some special education space in the building we changed. There wasn't a large number of classrooms added. It was replacing the portables with brick and mortar. And it had to have a sprinkler system put in,
Yes.
that type of thing. What was the square footage cost for North School? Cost per square foot? Okay, we can get the answer at another time. And then I'd also like to know the cost per square foot of South School. And the other unanswered question I have is, what is the total net cost of this project?
Yes. I'll get into that.
The total cost, and then the total net cost. Explain to the taxpayers the funding that the state will provide if the taxpayers were to approve this.
Up on the board, hope everybody can see it. We discussed that you don't get everything anymore in state building aid. You get most of it, but not all of it. So you see here, I took almost the same items that you just saw and determined which ones would qualify for building aid and which ones wouldn't qualify. So right off the bat, you see of the 4.2, just over $4 million qualifies for building aid. The playground, the built-up roof, the furnishings, admin and legal, testing, A&E, and then for a total would be available. So roughly, in rough dollars, $1 million or just under like 800,000, in our opinion, gets disqualified from building aid. The 30%, and then this is the annual amount that we would expect, the 30% of building aid we would get, starting not FY09, starting FY10, because that would be the first principal payment. And so then what I did was,
So rough numbers, $4.7 million.
I'm sorry,
$4.7 million for the project, and the state provides $1.4 million in funding.
so 5.4 for the project, and the state's providing 1.4. Or $70,000 annually. So what I did was, for net tax impact, I ran these numbers. Obviously, I just left the assessed value where it is. I know they're small. And just ran it, your principal payment, your interest, minus your building aid. Gives you, first several years, 1, 2, 3, 4, is 11 cents. Assuming no increase on evaluate. I didn't want to figure out 1% increase or anything like that. And then roughly each year or every 2 years, it steps down a penny.
Thank you.
Dan?
Peter, you may not have it handy, but do we have a debt retirement schedule handy we could throw up there?
Yep. Give me a second.
Sure.
Actually,
I'd just like to see what debt we have coming off in those years as well. If that's okay, Ron.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
huh? Okay, while I'm looking for this, on page 57, if you have your budget book.
Yep.
Is our current debt
Okay. So it looks like about 6 or 7 years out
About
before.
7 years before you lose a project.
Yeah, it looks like about 7 years, and then you'd replace this with, it's very close to that. So, okay, thank you.
Just so everyone knows, the debt limit of the schools is calculated by RSA at 7% of the net valuation. We're well within that window.
Can you give the number, please?
What's the number? Here's our debt. Here's our net debt availability. Unused debt is, for FY '09, unused debt is 236 million. Just a number that's unattainable. Total existing debt is, well, if I was to put the 5.5 South School on for FY '10, it's 23 million. Then less building aid gives you a total net debt, equalized valuation, so forth. So, and I ran it out, I think I went like 20 years or so.
Peter, the total net debt in this table includes the South School as your proposal?
What I did was here, I put South School on, and then ran it down. I added, I took the CIP. I added,
Okay, that's what
I added the SAU office, you know, as the CIP. And then I added the, I believe I added the auditorium right there. So I ran the CIP out as far as I could.
Okay.
And so obviously when the auditorium comes on, you're at 89, which is the lowest, and then you start working back up as you pay off debt on an annual basis.
Yeah, there's the answer to my question. 7 years, you can see the existing
Right,
debt
yes.
retires.
So, there's no worries about, you know, meeting the RSA regulations and so forth about.
I mean, I wasn't worried about
To me, it's a number you'll never
I'm worried about the
obtain.
taxpayers being able to pay for it.
Yep.
Ron?
Go ahead. Not gonna get the $260 million in debt.
Want me to go back?
At least not
Yeah.
while I'm sitting here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What I said was I'm not concerned about us meeting the debt limit. I'm more concerned on what the taxpayers can afford to
Right.
pay.
Yeah, and that debt limit, I think we have to take a look at it. It's so, what we would be allowed is so large, it looks backwards. And I just want to make sure that people understand that. It's the percentage of debt limit unused.
Yes.
In other words, we're not up against a ceiling of what we would be allowed to use.
No, when I say 90, 92, 91, that's unused debt. So you're using, in rough terms, 10% of available debt as per the RSAs.
I don't expect an answer now, but other districts in the state, could it be imagined that they would have to spend that much money
Well,
for facilities? Would it be big cities or?
well, no, I'll go back to 78. I know it's a ways back. In 78, the Londonderry School District had to get a special exemption to go above the debt capacity when they put the high school, actually middle school, well, started being middle school, went to high school, and went to middle school back to back, and they didn't have the evaluation to cover it. And they had to go to the state and get a special exemption to go over the debt ceiling in order to get those two schools built. So I guess I can never say it never happens, because we did it back in 77, 78.
Yeah, to George's point, I just can't imagine a community spending that much money.
But I will tell you, and I can't remember what year it was, I think, when we were talking about the high school, that'd be, help me out, 95,
Yes.
6, that area, you know, the $28 million high school. When I was on the town side, we had representatives from Moody's come over, and they were talking to us about several things. We actually invited the school, we had a whole discussion about the community, our bond rating or whatever. And the representative of Moody's actually brought up that they were concerned with the amount of population growth in Londonderry and the lack of building initiatives, especially on the school side, to accommodate the building growth that they were seeing. And lo and behold, we kind of sprung on him at the time that there was this $20 million plan for a high school, so forth. And they actually looked at that as a positive, that the community was planning infrastructure to meet its growth and not just ignoring it. So it can go both ways, you know, too much debt or not, or ignoring factors around you for infrastructure and capital needs.
Additional comments from the board?
I mean, I don't know what else to ask. I mean, I'm not comfortable that I've got enough information on a cost item level. And I don't know if, you know, I certainly can't make any decision based on, you know, less than 12 lines, spending $5.2 million. So that's my comment, if you were looking for comments.
Comments from the audience? Michael?
Mike Brown, 5 Terrace Hill Court, member of the Budget Committee. The paving for $327,000, is that similar to what was done at the high school?
Yes.
Okay, was the high school project funded out of the maintenance trust?
Yes.
Any reason why we wouldn't use previous appropriations to pay for that versus including it in this project?
Because when you're doing a renovation, I'm assuming by doing this parking lot correctly, it will last 20 years. So I can get 20 years of spread payments and capitalize it and pay it over the life of the asset. Instead of, if I was to do this out of maintenance trust, it would, I wouldn't say it would be the only thing we did all summer, but the maintenance trust on an annual basis is $400,000. So if I did this, and essentially we've used the maintenance trust for one project. Similar to the roof. Maintenance, you know, if we weren't doing this project, at some point we'd be coming to the board and say, we need to do the South School roof. And what's happened in the past is, because I don't use the word only have $400,000, $400 is a great sum to have, most districts don't have it. We would either do one roof for the entire summer, or Chuck would come back and say, we'll do, I'm just making this up now, the south side of the roof, and then come back the following year, do the north side of the roof, because we had other things in maintenance trust. This way here, the roof, this way here, the idea that what the committee was saying is, we've addressed the deficiency and the condition of the modules. We have taken care of deficiencies inside the building, be it the sprinkler system, the location of the main office, the nurses' quarters, the special education, the small learning centers. We've taken care of the roof, we've taken care of the parking. We have brought the building into the new century. And we can now dedicate efforts to Matthew Thornton or middle school or whatever.
Right.
Instead of leaving it and then come back 2 years later and then someone says, well, when you did the project, why didn't you do the paving when you were there?
Okay. And I'm glad you put up the building aid, because I believe paving's not covered by state building aid.
No.
Okay. The playground equipment, was that something that was on the radar screen to be replaced? Because it doesn't look as if the project's impacting the existing playground, so I was just wondering if that was part of the thinking.
It is impacted.
It is
playground
impacted by
because,
this project?
Where am I?
I must have missed that.
That's all right.
Okay,
What would be playground is
so this is a new playground.
over here.
Okay,
Right, Chuck?
so
That area. And
it,
so,
it's a new playground.
yeah, the roof, the
Okay.
road, the construction for the road would impact the playground and the other, you know, construction trailers.
Yep.
So the whole playground, whatever that's there gets dismantled and then would build back a playground once
Right.
everything's been vacated.
I was relating it to the North project, which I think was an existing playground that, you know, got taken out. Okay. Just a point of clarification on the administrative piece. You've got a clerk in there. Is that the clerk of the works or something less than that?
No, that's just,
That's not a clerk of the works?
no, it's just.
Okay,
Bonding, most of it's gonna come from bond counsel.
Okay.
And, what they call financial advisors to,
Okay.
to put the bond perspectives together. Those two numbers are probably gonna come $20,000 by themselves.
okay,
There's no clerk of the works.
right. On the temporary portables,
Yes.
I think you said 9 months. This says 6 months. Is it?
Well, we would do it, we would start it in June or whatever, and get them all set. It would run till December, so maybe 6 months. I was trying to,
Yeah, I was trying to get a per month rental. If it's 6 months, it's 41,000. If it's 9, it's 27,500 per month.
The monthly rental is pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
The bulk of the cost is in the initial setup and then the tear down at the end.
Okay.
Just bringing the trailers into place initially and putting them on the footings and getting them ready for occupancy was $90,000.
Okay. So last question on that. That's not something that's handled by Procon. That's outside of what they do. Did you guys? Is that one price from one company? Did you shop around? I don't know how many businesses do that type of thing, but I was wondering, is this just one shot and this is the price?
We contacted 3 companies.
Okay.
That's the best budgetary number, but that also would be put out to bid. when
Okay.
the time came.
Okay, thanks.
Dan?
Thank you for letting me speak. Dan Gunnery, 24 Burbank Road. I'm on the Space Needs Committee. I've been a 24-year resident of Londonderry. My wife Kathleen and I have raised 3 children all through the school system. They're all alumni of South School. I have no children in the school system. Don't plan on having any more children in the school system. I do plan on staying in Londonderry. I volunteered for this committee for the same reason why I moved to this town 24 years ago, is because of the superb school system. And I feel it's my obligation to try and keep the investment and the infrastructure in place so that people who move into this town and I can give back to what the town has given me with my 3 children. On this project, it started as a combined North School, South School project. It was in the CIP. It's been in, I believe, since 2001. When the committee was formed in 2004, we looked at both schools as what we do for one school, we're going to do for the other school. Because basically it was the same situation. We had portables that needed to be repaired. We had, renovations that were required or per code. Once you start a building project, there's certain things you have to do to get out of the grandfather situation. But there was also renovations that were needed because of the life of the building. If nothing, the school administration are wonderful people in finding space and using that space. And if you've ever toured these buildings, you would be amazed at what is working space that used to be closets when that building was first built. But back to the project. North and South School, equal projects. Because of the shape of the North School modulars, we split the program and we concentrated on North School. It was a $5.5 million project, and we went out, brought it in on budget at $5.5 million, same as this project. South School is $5.5 million in the CIP since 2001. So you really do need to look at this as sister projects. In that North School project, we replaced the portables. We did serious renovations inside and outside the building, including but not limited to, very similar to the South School, nurse's office. We also did kitchen. We also did, I'm looking at my notes, apologize, library, the main office, the lobby, bathrooms. We also did communications, wiring. We did an awful lot of work inside the building. In relationship to that, we also did a lot of work outside the building. We also did paving at North School. We did a playground at North School. You wouldn't recognize the front or the back of that building. We fixed everything that was wrong with that building. What you do in these projects, and I don't want to be lecturing, but what you want to do with these projects is you have one time to fix a building, and this is the one time. So we had the budget, we got it under budget, and with the help of ProCon, we rolled a lot of the savings back into the building. That building was supported by the town, was supported unanimously by the school board, unanimously by the budget and the town council. This is exactly the same project. I apologize it wasn't done the same time North School was, but this is the exact same thing. Same need. We have modulars that need to be replaced. It's gone too long. We had to spend a lot of money to get them back into shape to use them this year. They need to be replaced. But in the same relationship as North School, South School has a lot of things that has to be fixed as well. And you see them up on the board. I apologize, we didn't forecast the question, probably didn't forecast the question clear enough to answer the specific breakdowns that you have. But the budget fixes everything that's wrong inside the building, everything that's wrong outside the building. This project was put in front of the town for 2 votes for architectural fees. It carried 65% or higher both times. What I'm standing here before you asking is your support for this project, to leave it intact, to put it on the ballot, and to let the town decide on it, the same way they decided on North School, and that we get the opportunity to fix this building. It's been around for 30 years. It needs some work. This project will fix it inside and outside. Anything we strip away from this project means we don't fix that problem with the building or the exterior. I may be speaking too much here, I may be getting over my head, but if you do take the pavement away, yeah, we can drive on chipped frost heave pavements. It's been there for 30 years, needs to be replaced. But we can replace it another way if you don't want it in the project. Can you do something with the rentals? Can you squeeze kids into the building? You don't want to do that. I squeezed my 4th grader into the building when we put the gym on. It's not something you want to live through. It's not something the children want to live through. The best way to do it is to put the portables and give them space so they don't lose 4 months of their education to overcrowded classrooms. I was on the committee. I take pride in this. Bob Lincoln, also on the committee, takes a lot of pride in this. We feel this fixes the building, and we're looking for your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Al?
Thank you. Al Baldessau, 41 Hall Road. Question was on some of the numbers. Of course, I'm getting a little older here, and I couldn't see the numbers up there. But that number, I don't know if you said 1.4 million on the actual. Is that actual, or is that assuming that the state's going to cover on new contract on that, what is it, 30%?
Well, I'm going by the current information.
Mm-hmm.
Is the building A is as intact with the new standards, 30% of approved as today.
Okay. Reason I'm asking this question is you all familiar what's going on at the State House. You all understand what's going on with the actual adequacy funding. We don't even have a mechanism, where that money's coming from. Also with the money that's going to be spent around the state. It's coming out of somebody's pocket there to cover all this here. I just want to make sure, because I've been hearing, and in the beginning I was 100% behind this here, because I've heard Nate's, well, with the numbers of the schools, we definitely need to add on. We don't have enough space down there. But now I sit here and I hear that we're going to lose classroom size over there. And now it's got my brain clicking here and thinking, Jesus, is this a nice to have, a renovation that we want to do? We're losing classroom size where, versus get rid of those, portables there, the 8 classrooms, and we're going to be down 2. Does that affect our numbers?
Yeah, I'd like to address your point. The overall project will reduce the number of classrooms that we have by 2. What we're looking at is the elementary level as the total number of classroom inventory. And we believe, based on the population projections that we have, if we look at all 3 elementary schools, that with the classroom inventory that we would have with the South School project, that somewhere down the road we would probably have to do some redistricting, but we in fact would have enough space available based on this project. So we're not looking at the schools as individuals, we're looking at the school as a total inventory, so that we don't wind up with a particular school that's got an excess inventory of 15 classrooms and one that's short, so that we can look at it that way. Simultaneously, as we've discussed in the past, what we're looking to do is address some special education issues that we have in providing appropriate space and facilitate our ability to have cost avoidance by developing our own in-house special education programs, which get us cost avoidance on an annual basis of about $3.4 million. So when we looked at this project, we said, when we looked at it, we said, what is the classroom inventory we have at North? What's the classroom inventory that we have at Matthew Thornton? What's the classroom inventory that we have at South? What appear to be our general education population needs? And what also appear to be our special education population needs? We even went to the point where we codified the percent of kids who are not in low incident populations, the percent of those students that we have at each of the schools that require small instructional spaces, and made adjustments on that. Predicated on all that information, we came up with the design here for the small instructional areas as well as the in-district special education programs. So that combined with the renovation work that we did at Matthew Thornton to allow us to have an additional in-district special education program for low-incident autistic kids, and where we anticipate growth up at North School, we would, as growth persists up north, be allowed to redistrict to move students down to Matthew Thornton and then Matthew Thornton to South. So we were looking at it as a cost savings by not overbuilding a particular school, but looking at our entire classroom inventory at the elementary level. So the decision was made that we could reduce 2 classrooms, get rid of the modulars that were here since the Hoover administration, do some reconfiguration here for special education space, both small and in-district special ed programs, address the code issues that we have, including fire lane, the sprinklers, and all the other stuff, and provide us with an appropriate space. So we're trying to do multiple things with this project. Address overall classroom inventory, provide appropriate in-district special education space, and as Gunnar very articulately posed, address what we consider to be major facility issues at this program. So we're looking at our elementary level as one entity, and the ability to move youngsters, if we have to, from one catchment district to another, and that way too address our facility issues in a more cost-effective way, as opposed to looking at each school individually as an isolate. So,
If I may, since you're talking on the special education, with this add-on and everything you're doing here, are we prepared now, or setting ourselves up for a program to take on out-of-district special education kids into our school system here with all this moved over there?
right now, this space allows us to address the students that we have. Somewhere down the road, if in fact there is a situation where it would not require us to have an increase in staff, but a student from another district could come here and pay, and that district would pay us $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 in tuition to show up as revenue, that would be fine. We're not actively going out, because if you've got to be careful as far as what the revenue coming in and whether or not that will generate additional internal costs. But if the opportunity presents itself, and let's say for an example we have a program for autistic youngsters, and there happen to be 3 kids in the program, and we've got it staffed, that would allow us, with that other district hiring an aide as well as paying us tuition to allow that youngster to come here, and we would pick up $40,000 in tuition, that's something we certainly would consider. But we're not looking to create magnet special education programs to pull youngsters in from other districts.
Okay, all right, thank you for your answers. And, George, I want to compliment you because, on your compliments on looking out for the taxpayer, because we have many here in town that are struggling, and warm homes and some of these other programs that prove it. So we have to make sure whatever we can save, because that adequacy funding that's coming down the road, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to put a hurt locker on many residents until they come up with a plan. It's going to have to come out of our statewide property tax. Thank you.
Al, don't misconstrue my statements for a lack of support.
No,
All I'm looking for is information. So don't, okay, you know, and that's what I'm here to do.
That's why I complimented you.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, my apologies. Just wanted to check this. We've been speaking about this for several months, and this is all part of the process, and we need to continue it. I think that what I've got here are two new items that we haven't spoken about in the past, and just correct me if I'm wrong. The two items that we haven't discussed when we looked at these sketches would be that parking lot, additional parking lot in the back, and the portable or temporary classrooms that will be put into the parking lot.
We've discussed that.
No,
Did discuss those?
the parking lot in the back has always been part of the project. In fact, that was Ron and I and Chuck, I'm gonna say 3 summers ago, we were trying to look for parking at the South School because of the congestion, kind of identified this area, and then we figured we'll do it when the South School project.
Okay. If that back lot has been part of the discussion, that's fine.
The portables or the modular classrooms during construction.
Right.
I would say has taken up probably a third of our conversations to what to do with the students during construction. And I'll tell you that it's centered on really 3 levels. Renting the modular classrooms during construction, converting the gym in half the library into, I'll say, temporary classrooms, or not doing neither of the two and swelling class sizes for 4 or 5, whatever months are, while construction's going on. The big difference between north and south was, or is, in north, we had a nice area where we could do the classrooms and leave the modulars up during construction. You don't have this luxury in this project, and that kind of adds, in rough dollars, $250,000 to this project that you didn't have in north.
All right, so we hadn't talked about those portables, temporaries coming in, but the committee, and I'm glad to see that they're all here tonight, we're looking for a solution. Like Dan Gunnery, my students were at Matthew Thornton in the cafeteria with partition walls. So, I can understand that situation. Thanks, Rob.
Hi.
Hi there. Johanna Hayes. I 1 Chartwell Court. I am a parent with 1 child already in the building. She's a 2nd grader who loves it there. And I also have a young son who is at Moose Hill who will be going to South School next year. So I have 2 children who will be in that building. First of all, I invite you to come right now with the snow problem that we have and play the live game of Rush Hour we have for parking at the school. It is a major issue right now. It's very interesting that we have a building that the police department has had to come down and point out to the principal what parking spaces are technically not really illegal, that they won't ticket us in. So there we have an issue, because I run a program after school and I have to rush in after I parked my car the other day in a snowbank. The additional parking is necessary. Another big thing I did was I'm new to this building committee. I joined it in September. I was invited by Principal Kettenring to be a parent representative on it. So I'm just getting up to speed over the past 4 months. I did attend the planning board session where it was said by the chairman of the planning board that this school was built in 1978 on a shoestring budget. So it was built with not the idea that we were going to have 56% of the housing that has been built in Londonderry happened after the building was even built. So we've had an explosion of the population in the town. We built a building that is not particularly sound now. It has outlived its time, okay? The fact that the fire department has to give us a waiver to allow over 600 children plus 100 other staff and administrators to be in that building. That's not up to code right now. Little disturbing to a parent. My daughter comes home Friday afternoon and tells me, hey, Mommy, the classroom right next to us has a leak in it, okay? I, of course, start panicking because I had to remember where she was in the building. Is she in the portables or is she in the main building? She was in the main building, and there's leaks in the ceiling there that my daughter is seeing. That's not even the portables that we know already has issues that I've been reading over the minutes of the school board with regard to even the $75,000 to fix the roof this year, that it was questionable as to whether or not we should wait until the snow load started. And that was overridden because the trusses were actually already failing. That we were going to react potentially to a potential disaster. We didn't expect this kind of snow that we just had. If we'd had that with the roof the way it was, I don't even want to think about what could possibly happen. So I have a child in a building that now I have a little bit of fear that, okay, the main roof has leaks in it. She's seeing it. And that's the part of the building we're not even really that concerned about yet because the focus has been on replacing the portables. The roof is part of the new plan. We have exhausted all the issues with regard to refixing this building. The building needs to be refixed. There's a lot of wonderful things that need to be placed into this building so that I, as a parent, can feel that it's safe to put my child on the school bus and have her, and next year him, go to the school, and I'm not going to get a phone call later that, well, we worried about the roof, but now the floor caved in. Let's be proactive. We're asking for the support of the school board. Let's take the opportunity, like Dan pointed out, we have this opportunity to fix all the problems for long term. We have 2,000 children under the age of 5 in the town right now. Those kids have to go to a school somewhere. We do have children that are going to be using this building for long term. The wonderful thing about Londonderry is we have an incredible school system. It's a shame that we have a building that I, as a parent right now, with the taxes that I pay, is afraid in the morning to put my child on a bus, especially when I know the main roof now has a leak in it. And actually, according to what I learned last week, has quite a few leaks in it. So that's all we're asking, is we need the support. It's time to fix the building. If we keep putting it off, we're going to keep putting Band-Aids on it. We put a security system in it that doesn't even fix the problem with regard to security to the entrance of the school building. We have I don't know how much we paid for the monitor, but you can't even see the face. And as soon as you walk in the door, the front door is so far away from the main office building, somebody could sneak down to the right. You've got kids down there in the gymnasium. You have a bathroom not too far from there. 2 bathrooms, men's room and a ladies' room. Somebody could sneak down there. No monitoring system's going to catch that. So moving the office, that solves a big issue right there. We give the security back to the people who are keeping our kids safe during the day, the administrators. So that's what we're asking for your support. As a parent who's got one little one there and another little one coming, and like I said, when she came home on Friday and said, Mommy, the school, well, because I just suffered massive water damage to my house. So when she goes, wow, the water's coming in everywhere. She goes to school, it's coming in. She comes, at home, it's coming in. So that's why the kids are noticing it and bringing it home. More and more parents are going to start getting nervous that, is this building going to really collapse on our children? And if it does, I don't want to think. So thank you.
Chuck, was this roof in the capital improvement plan, the maintenance trust plan? This roof?
Was that?
Was the roof in the maintenance trust plan?
We started replacing sections of roof at Cell School about 4 years ago and have held off on doing additional work, planning on putting it in this project and get it all done at once.
Okay, let me talk, okay, just for a second. Here's the issue I have for the building committee. Okay? I've supported every project that we've put on the ballot. My concern is that is $5.5 million a number that's palatable to the taxpayers? I'm concerned about the portables. We have to get them out of there immediately. I have no issues with most of the interior work type of deal, the way they're set up there. Okay? We're looking at that. We spoke about the roof, similar projects. However, at North School, the roof was partially paid out of the project from excess funds. It wasn't planned in the project. The paving in the front was just because of the traffic pattern in there. We didn't redo the whole parking lot and rip it up and say it was done as part of it, it needed to be done. The high school parking lot was done last year as part of the maintenance trust account for $340,000, if I'm not mistaken. So my concern is there a number in there that's palatable to the voters as we're looking at this to make this project pass the first time? And that's what I'm struggling with as a board member here. Not that we don't need to do all this work, not that we don't need to have these portables replaced. They should have been replaced years ago. So that's what I'm having as a problem. That's where I am looking at this. This is the first time I've seen these numbers, and that's why we're asking the questions and looking at it. Question, is there a window in this wall here that goes right into the building as you walk in?
Windows would be added as part of the project.
Right over here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sean?
Thanks, Ron. Sean O'Keefe, 163 Mammoth Road. As part of the maintenance that typically goes for the buildings, if what you're saying is true and there's leaks all over the place, I would think that those should be getting taken care of as part of the maintenance trust. Is that correct?
What we have to do is prioritize all of the issues in the district. We have right now about $4 million we're looking at worth of roofing and paving, so it's a constant prioritization. Yes, there were some leaks in the building, but there are other needs that were even more pressing than that. And each year we develop up during budget time, the list of the maintenance trust, projects we plan to do. And then once the funding becomes available, usually in the spring, we reprioritize as necessary. We did the worst section of roof at South School 4 years ago. It was over $100,000. To do the rest of the building, we're looking at about $400,000 to do that section.
Okay, thanks. As one budget committee member, and facing the economic times that we all are right now, including my family, I would say that when I saw the original cost of what we have in front of us, I think it's kind of high, and it's a tough pill to swallow. I understand that there are certain upgrades that we're looking to try to do and try to make it maybe more efficient for the kids and for the teachers, and I'm okay with that. But I think that what we have to realize is that it's a pretty steep price tag to go for. There are other options that were presented when we asked for them back in the summertime when you guys were talking about the process and bringing forth this replacement of the portables. So I think that it would be good as one voter, if we had other options placed in front of us that may not be as costly. I mean, I would much rather look at other options that are less expensive and consider those instead of just all or nothing approach to it, because I think an all or nothing approach to it is not the way to go with this. And I think that the school needs committee, with the effort that they put in it, would probably want to try to make it so that they get something done instead of trying to present the all or nothing to the voters and it's going to either pass or it doesn't, because that's not going to fix what is needing to be done. So I'd just like more options in front of us, and I'd hope that the school board will consider that before making a decision on the $5.4 million. So thank you.
Thank you. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tony DeFrancesco, 1 Cheshire Court, member of the committee. Sean was one of my former students, and he was always mad at me because I wanted to have him do a lot of pull-ups and he couldn't do them. So what he just said, I think, was kind of a slam on the committee, and maybe I deserve it personally, but not the committee. The committee has done its due diligence. The committee has looked at options. They looked at option A through Z. This was not a slam dunk. This was not something that, and this is not something that we're trying to push down the throats of anybody. Going to the dollar figure, if in 2001 an addition of this size was identified at $5.5 million in those dollars, and in 2008-9 the project comes in at 5.5 million in today's dollars, then if you just look at that part of it, yes, in fact, the committee has done its due diligence. Procon has come in with a good value for its dollar. You cannot dispute that. That is not a disputable item on the dollar-for-dollar basis. If we look point by point, one thing that hasn't been mentioned on the office location change, currently in that spot, Peter, would you light that up with the dot, please? No, the new office, right there. Currently, there are 2 classrooms there. The front door, which is a little bit to the right of that, when the people come in, when they're buzzed in, they have to walk through and past 2 classrooms full of people, full of children and staff, with no security at all. There's no way to know who these people are that are coming through the door other than, gee, it doesn't look like they have an Uzi, but it's winter and they have a long coat on. Who knows? We have no way currently to protect those children when whoever it is, a delivery man, UPS, or whoever it is, happens to come through that door. In addition to that, there's a tremendous amount of commotion that happens in that hallway for a variety of reasons. An irate parent that's trying to get to the administrators or whatever, that has to go by those 2 classrooms that are full of people. So that change is necessary, regardless of what else happens, for the safety and welfare of our children. Those 2 classrooms have to leave that area as soon as possible. Tomorrow is too late to make that change based on what's going on in society today. The nurse's office, which is in which is right near the Dell.
Is that where the farmer is?
So, the nurse's office, right above the L, a little bit to the right, currently is around 300 square feet.
One more. Go ahead. Keep on. I gotta do one at a time.
Yeah. The Matthew Thornton and North nurse's office are currently in the 600 to 625 square foot area dimension. The State Department of Education requirements for a nurse's area for a school our size is 625 square feet. The current square footage, again, is only 300 feet. The new plan is for one that's 621 feet, still 4 feet less than the state requirement. And I don't believe it's a requirement. I believe it's a recommendation. But as it's written here, it's a requirement. I'm not sure that's true. No child, your child, my child, or anyone else's child should have to suffer the indignity of puking in a bucket in a hallway because the nurse's office is too crowded, because it's so woefully undersized, by more than 50% undersized, that that child has to suffer that indignity because they can't get into that nurse's office. No child should have to suffer the indignity of having to lie down on the floor because they have a raging fever because they can't get into the nurse's office. That is unacceptable for anybody's child. It's inhumane. It's not right. It has to be changed. the sped area that's in the middle, it's going to be the sped offices. Thank you. Thank you. Right there. Currently, parents that are coming in for a meeting have to walk in the door, past the main office, take a left down the corridor, nicely done, to the next hallway on the right there, to go to a parents' meeting. Again, passing 7 classrooms to go to a meeting. When we move those sped offices to the middle of the building in the foyer, now the parents are not going past classrooms full of children. One point of clarification is that there is actually outside a playground. There is a climbing wall, there are swings there, there's a basketball hoopy game thing, I don't know what you call it, and various other sundry things out there that will have to be removed because of the grading when they bring the road around the building. So there is playground equipment out there. I would entertain any questions that the board might have of me. If not, I thank you for your time, but I'm going to stay here because I think Sean's going to have something to say.
You think?
For the record, I could do the pull-ups. and to further clarify, it wasn't a slam on the building committee.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I understand that. And my daughter actually went to South School, and some of the deficiencies that he's talking about do exist. I've seen him. He's right. All I was looking for as a taxpayer is a more efficient way to do it, if that's possible. But I wasn't slamming anybody, for the record, and I appreciate the effort that they did to get this, to come out where they did. I'm just looking for other options, and so be it.
Now go do your push-ups, Sean.
Hi.
I think we should see if Tony can still do them.
My name's Karen Fitzgerald. I live on Canterbury Lane, and my daughter is a second grader in South School. And I proudly volunteer continuously. I am a parent that has sat in that front doorway, willing to protect our children, waiting for that madman to come in the door with their guns. But thank God it never happened while I was sitting there amongst a small handful of other parents that volunteer to protect our children. Also, the whole nurses thing. I've had to pick my daughter up in a room where she's sitting on a bench with 3 other sick kids, and it's a bench meant for one child to lay down on, but there's 3 kids sitting on it because they're all sick. The special ed thing. Nothing freaks me out more than watching these poor kids who need a better education and having to walk through these halls, going to my daughter's classroom to volunteer, and seeing these kids being taught outside in the classroom in a hall, sitting there on the floor because there is no real classroom for them to be taught in. It's very disturbing to see these poor kids out in the halls. It really is. And being a volunteer in this school and coming and going constantly, I appreciate the new monitor system. But that doesn't work. I can walk up to that door still and pull it open and walk in freely and walk past all those classrooms. And now, after 2 years, these teachers know me. But for the first year, they didn't know me. And do I stop this stranger that's walking through the school? Do I approach her? Does she look nice enough? God, she could be mean, and I could be attacking the children, and nobody really knows. And it does need to be brought up to code. The sprinkler system, I want to send my daughter with the fire extinguisher every day just for that thought of knowing that there is no protection for her in this building. A fire breaks out and you got first, second, and third graders who are still easily confused and easily baffled, trying to run out in a fire with no protection. That's scary. But they do great fire alarms there. I got the fun experience of hanging out in the classroom one day while they were all being tested for the madman walking through the hall, hitting the doors. I'm not sure what that test was. Lockdown, yes. Oh, that was fun. Little kids all cowering and, is it over yet? Is it over yet? But by second grade, they're getting a kick out of it. They think it's kind of fun. We're all sitting, hiding, and waiting for the mad guy to come or go. And just knowing that a better security system at the front door would put more parents at ease, I believe. So, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter, can I ask you a question? If I was to add $85,000 a year to the maintenance trust account, how much would that cost me in tax rate? And how much,
100,000 is 3 cents.
okay,
So, 2.5.
okay, $500,000 on a bond for 20 years, how much is that?
What were you looking for?
$500,000
How many years?
for the 20-year bond,
500,000 for 20 years?
yes.
You have one more zero?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, 500,000, I'm sorry, my fault. Talking a penny.
Okay, so it's.
Personally, I wouldn't do five.
I'm not asking, that's not what I'm asking, okay? What I was looking at is if I took out the maintenance, and here's the part, if I took out the roof for 179 and the paving, comes out to approximately $500,000. I have to do those projects, we're saying, let's do it in the maintenance trust. And I'm saying that it would take me 6 years to do it, about $85,000 a year. Adding it to that so I can get it done in a 6-year period would cost us 3 cents. By putting it into the bond, and it's straight money, there's no state aid reimbursement, it gives me a penny on that. So it's costing us 2 cents. It's short term, it's costing us 2 cents a time. So just as a point of reference, I was just trying to find out the cost on that.
2 cents for 6
Yes,
years.
so 2 cents for 6 years. And then the other one goes out for 20 years, so.
I mean, again, the reason I think we decided to put both the paving and the roofing was both need to get done. Both need to get done, I'll say today, meaning not today, but, this time frame. As Chuck had mentioned, we're backloaded on both in paving and roofing projects. And we expect the life of both of these, roof and paving, to last the life of the bond. And again, I think the committee was looking at it saying, let's fix the classrooms that the modules are in, let's do the code work, and let's take care of the deficiencies in the building for the years, so that we don't have to come back in 5 years and do, let's say, the paving, and rightly so, the taxpayers say, well, didn't you do that when you spent X million dollars 3 years ago? That was the whole idea of this, was to fix the major items. You won't get everything like we never do, but these $500,000 items are a big hit on 1 year. And to spread them over, they're, as you say, a penny, as opposed to doing them in 1 year shot. And backing up other projects that Chuck has got in the pipeline, as we saw a month and a half ago, of all the projects that are in the maintenance trust.
Go ahead, Steve.
I think Dan wanted to talk
Dan.
to that.
I'm sorry.
But since we're talking about the paving subject, and if you went down that road, I think we need to be realistic. We wouldn't do the paving. I mean, we've seen that before. Appropriately, if the roof's leaking, we fix the roofs, and we let the paving go. So, although it's a concept that we can take a look at and have a conversation about, we should probably, face it up front. It'd be like the high school, which went longer than I've been on the board, waiting to get paved because we went to fix the roofs instead.
Dan?
We've been talking quite a while about this, and I want to echo a couple comments that Dan Gunnery made. You look at this project, and I sat on the North School Building Committee as well as Ron, and I think Ben as well. What we did at North School is we're losing a little bit of sight of this project, that it's a guaranteed maximum price. In that, we brought it in quite a bit under budget, and what Dan said is in fact true. We put that money back into the building. So we didn't expend it, we didn't give it back to the taxpayers, we did expend it, but we did other things that were necessary to do to make that building the building it is today. And I've only heard kudos about that building at North School. We're trying to do, we used, and I think Dan said, to echo his comments, we're trying to model this project similar to North School. Those of us that have been sitting here for a couple of years know that building costs do not go down. If I'm on the board next year, I'll bring this project back again if it doesn't pass. So would the cost be cheaper? Would it be more economical? The other factor we lose in this, and I've struggled with it too, is that most of the other projects I've been involved in this community were always about number of kids, enrollment increases. Al brought up a point and said, will we get state aid? Can I tell you in 5 years we won't have enrollment increases? I personally believe we will. Because if they ever do widen I-93, home prices, future development, it's going to continue in Londonderry. Right now, we've been a little bit stayed, and part of that reason is because my 3 children went to South School too, and they're out of there now, and I haven't moved out of Londonderry. But you're going to see, in my opinion only, and we've been through this with the planning board and the budget committee and all the various other organizations in town, relative to growth within the community. Now's the time to fix the building. We've talked about a number, and we did, Ron. I'll take the blame for this. The budget committee asked the very question you asked. What is palatable for the taxpayers? I don't know. What I know is what do we think we need to expend to take care, and we're bringing it to the board, for the parking, the roof, the building, as we see it needs fit for both safety issues, but more important to me is program development. Nate talks about, and I thought very eloquently, and he's made the presentation to all of the boards, and you can watch it on television or wherever, but what we're really planning to do on programs as well. I would challenge anybody in this community for the buildings that we put in place over the last 9 years and the programs that we put in. I've only heard wonderful things. I haven't heard anything that said, you spent too much of my tax dollar. I'm not saying it's cheap. You know, I pay taxes. I struggle with issues too. I got kids in college, and I'm not going to talk about all my finances. But what happens in this community is what came out of the budget committee was your very question, Ron. I said, bring it in to the board at 5-5, and then let the board make the decision, and rightfully so. So it isn't the budget committee saying, who knows what's palatable. I don't, quite frankly, but I do know that if you can spread the cost over 20 years, Chuck made the comment that, and I've been sitting here a while, that kind of shocked me relative to the state of the roofs and the state of the parking that we have over the next 7 years. I agree with your comment. Maybe we can goose the maintenance trust. We also talked about taking the maintenance trust and expending it in 1 year and see if we can allocate it to this project. But that would be eliminate all the other items that are in this budget book that also need done within the district under the maintenance trust. So I think the committee's done a heck of a fine job. They've been a dedicated committee. It's been 2 or 3 years. Actually, Dan, I think it's been about 7 years because the North School was built into it as well. We're down to the nitty-gritty. We have to make a decision by the 10th, I believe. So what I would suggest, Ron, to answer George's question, is if Peter and Dan at Procon can come back and maybe break out some of the cost on the interior structure of the building. But remember, it's a GMP. So any cost savings, the board, the committee can either return to the community or put back into the building in other venues, as you well know. But I would suggest Peter and Dan come back and answer George's question, and the board make a determination. But I would certainly ask the board in the past to let the voters make the determination and certainly put it on the ballot and ask for the board's support. So I take a lot of blame for the 5.5 because the committee did struggle with that, and I don't think anybody's going to challenge me on it. But it was only my vote, and I said if you brought it in at 4-9 without at least edifying to the board what other issues there may be. So I thought it best to at least discuss them in this venue, and it's certainly the board's prerogative to cut them if they so desire. And I may even support that, but because I hear what you're saying as well, Ron. So thank you for indulging me for a few minutes. Oh, he's going to ask me if I can do.
I'm just going to let Dan take all the blame, so.
That's fine. What I'm afraid of now, Tony's going to ask me if I can do chin. Thank you.
why don't we, Tom, you could be,
Sitting here,
1,
Tom.
2. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to address the, Dan, if it doesn't pass this year, I'll bring it back again next year.
Oh, no. Only if that would be my or my purview if I'm sitting on the board.
I
That'd be
understand
one
that.
board vote.
Thank you. I understand that, but my counter to that is, in the 30 years that I've been in town, we have just in the past few projects got past the phase town-wise where the project was voted down once or twice or 3 times and then voted in at a 20 to 30% cost increase. I would hope as a town that we're not going to go back to that kind of a thinking where it's voted down, it's brought back, it's voted down, and then finally people say, well, we really need that. So I would plead with the board, certainly once we get some numbers crunched and a little bit more clarification that you support this unanimously, I would plead with the Budget Committee to vote for this as well, because, again, please, let's not go back to that voting it down and then bringing it back the next year where it cost us more money. And Dan, you were around when we did that, and Ron, you were around when we did that. And when all was said and done, it cost us a lot more dollars per thousand on our tax rates, and on some of those projects, I think we're still paying for them today, more dollars than we should have to start with. So, thank you.
Tom?
Thank you. Tom Frieda, 30 Buckingham Drive. I just have a question. In the event it doesn't pass, do you have an alternative plan? Are you going to put any kind of additions into a maintenance trust to cover
You're
any?
asking me individually?
Well, any of you.
Well, I can answer. Well, let me take an answer to that. No.
Okay, so it's all or nothing, given what everybody said about the
Just me.
safety.
No. Right.
Okay.
Because I think the plan has been well thought out. All those issues have been discussed. Varied alternatives have been thought. And I think it was said by Tony, we did go through quite a bit of scenarios. So personally, I don't believe any of them are acceptable. So, no.
Nate, can you address the safety issues? I mean, that's, go ahead.
Before you go to the safety, because I just had one other thing.
Okay.
You all set now? I didn't want to.
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
Unless somebody else wanted to speak.
I thought
to
he
it.
had something to say.
That was just me.
Oh, okay.
No, it's something a little bit different. First, I'd like to thank the parents that came out and spoke tonight. And I know you're taxpayers, but I also like to thank the taxpayers that came out and spoke tonight. Too, we don't usually get anybody in this meeting. So it must be Mammoth Road was closed off for some reason. But to one of the parents' comments, and I apologize for not getting your name, but I was paying very close attention to what you were saying. And you did state that if we put this off, it's bad. And I agree with that. But if the town takes this and votes it down, it's worse. And for what Dan said, I mean, the alternatives are not very good. The temporary situations that we have to put, the school into are not very good choices. So it's extremely important that we have the community collaboration, that we have these conversations. I know that the last time when North School was passed, North School had meetings with South School, had meetings with Matthew Thornton, got all the parents for the entire community to support and help North School pass. So you need to look at those types of things again, and we need to again speak to this on the board. But I just wanted to make it clear, if it doesn't pass, it's a lot worse than if. So you want to make sure that when it's presented, that it's presented so that it gets a unanimous support of the school board, and I would hope a unanimous support of the budget committee, as well as the town council. It says this is something that we need, and that's the process we're working on.
Nate, I was going to ask you, can you address the safety issues that the people have been talking about here at South School? I mean, it sounds like the building's ready to be condemned.
That's not quite right.
Where we, if I understand correctly, where we have the present leak at South School is in the Sawtooth area. And what we had was an ice dam buildup going down there. Chuck had the guys go up and see if they can patch it. So from that perspective, what we have is not so much a safety issue as a major annoyance at this point. And I don't think there's a fear of the roof coming in. The other parts of the roof that we should fix, because they are in fact deteriorating over time, and Chuck has them in there. I would go along with the statement regarding the placement of the office. If you look at all our other schools, with the exception of the high school that has their office in the bowels of the building, in what was the old section, but we do have a full-time security person in front, in the doorway, to monitor it. I do have a concern with the placement of the office there, and the fact that the way the building was designed, you can go in, and as you know, you can go to the right, and nobody can see you after that, and you do have to pass a number of classrooms. By relocating the principal's office to that area, it becomes, from my perspective, a more controllable situation. And from time to time, we do have upset people in there, so it's a shorter walk to bother Linda than it is to go down through the building. I think it's also helpful to have the special education offices and conference areas right where the existing office is. But from a safety perspective, that's really the only elementary school that does not have an office that has a front view where you can see it. And we all know Matthew Thornton's got the glass windows, so through the office they can see people coming in, and it's a more restrictive area. North, when we did that, I think one of the things that enhanced the safety was we made the lobby area bigger, we increased the office size, and you've got the glass windows looking into the foyer as well as the windows looking out. So it's a more controllable situation. So from a security perspective, I think movement of the office is a key thing. We addressed what we consider to be the major safety issue on the modulars this summer, and fortunately, Chuck and the engineers were right on top of it, because a comment made earlier, I would have had nightmares really with the amount of snow that we had, knowing what was the condition of the trusses if we hadn't fixed them.
But the students wouldn't have been in there. They would have always been safe.
Right. So right now we have some leaks, particularly in the Sawtooth area. It's not a safety issue, it's an annoyance, and it really should be addressed. And I think that was part of, if I understood what Chuck had told me, that was the way the building was designed, which was another issue we had. We know how well it was designed based on our mold remediation several years ago. So from the safety issue, aside from the placement of the office, the roof stuff right now is an annoyance more than it is a safety issue. I'm not concerned about the roof coming in or falling in. To segue a little bit, I do think the work that the committee did is appropriate and focused, in that it addresses the facility needs that we have long-term, spreads the cost out over a 20-year period, so that people that move into town also pick up the cost of the bond. And that rather than repeat what we've done in the past, and Sean is right, Peter and I were asked earlier this year to come in with options, and we showed them what the costs were if we just replaced the modulars with modulars, and then if we actually had a legitimate replacement schedule for the modulars and replaced them again 10 years later, and on top of that, what it would have cost to address the code issues, because once we put new modulars in, you've got to put the fire road in, you've got to do the sprinkler work. So do we want to then be in a position 5 years from now, 6 years from now, with escalating costs, and say, okay, we should have done that in 2008, now it's going to cost us more money perhaps to get less stuff, and then you add on what we paid for temporary housing, and now it really significantly increases your cost over that period of time. So if we're looking at the taxpayer over an extended period of time. So from my perspective, there may be some fine tuning on some of the costs here and make some decisions, but I think the focus and the cost basically is legitimate from, and now I'm switching hats now, being a resident of town and a taxpayer, I'm looking at this long term. This is a more cost-effective way to address the issue with a permanent structure, doing the renovations, doing the roof work right at this point in time, doing the paving right at this point in time, as opposed to putting up, because Steve's correct. Somewhere down the line, in the next 3-4 years, we'll be in a situation where we really need a roof replaced. And that's gonna cost us more money, just like it has in the recent past, because petroleum prices have gone up. And if we remember, we had to put off the high school parking lot project for a year, because when we got the bids in, the cost had so significantly increased that it made it prohibitive with the amount of money that we had in the trust. So from my perspective, looking at what we're looking to accomplish across the district, long-term cost effectiveness for the taxpayer, what we would get, and not compounding a temporary classroom project on top of, let's say, another project 5 years down the road or 6 years down the road to do it, becomes more cost effective. Because if we wind up spending close to several $1 million to put, if I'm trying to remember correctly, modulars in plus do the renovation work, and then on top of that, 5 years from now, with increased cost, you're then gonna go to brick and mortar. And if in fact our guess is right, that there's gonna be growth up at North End, then we're gonna wind up having major space issues for general ed population, because now we're starting to shift everybody south, and we have a facility that really isn't capable of receiving that growth because we didn't address the facilities issues down there. So if we look at it from a district-wide perspective, it makes perfect sense.
Plus you don't get state aid on modulars.
That's right, there's no state aid on modulars. And my guess, and Al is correct to a certain extent, they're looking at different funding, but there would be such an uproar in the state if they yanked building aid, because it's not just Londonderry that would be impacted, there's a whole slew of towns. And you look at the number of new high schools that have been built recently, plus the new construction stuff, representatives would get lynched when they came back to town, particularly on building aid. Well, oh, was that a pun? I didn't even think of that. Anyways, so a bad one at that. But I think that one's fairly safe. But also at the same time, if there are other districts doing construction, let's say there's X amount of dollars in the pie, we get into the queue earlier. If the state doesn't budget correctly, and let's say there's a squeeze, sometime in the past, we've gotten 95% of our 30%. But if you get in later in the queue, chances you getting a little bit less in state aid would increase. And if we look at it now, here's another thing to think of. The town just went out for a bond. They're getting an interest rate of 3.5%. Right? When and we'll get to talk this a little bit later when we get to the budget, when we had originally put our half year's interest in here, we were projecting at 5.5%. So when we're looking at the construction, the other thing we ought to take into account is what the prevailing interest rates are now. So you may save $500,000 a year from now, but if the interest rate's gone up, that savings is gone. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that there appears to be a positive interest rate at this point as far as going out for borrowing, and that does save you money in the long run. 2% difference is a significant number of dollars. So it's just some more food for thought.
We've already adjusted the first year interest from when we originally had 5%. In the tax rate sheet, it's now 3.5. Went down from like 130 to 79.
Other questions from the board? comments? Don't want to say anything, Ben?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
May I
Hey,
ask a
sure.
question before we close this? Is there, aside from the cost per square foot for north and south, total cost versus net cost, which I think Peter gave us, is there any additional information?
Yeah, they want costs of new construction.
Cost, right. Is there any additional information the board would like us to have for Thursday night?
The only other item I'd look for, if I can get the floor of the gym in there, what's the cost of that?
Okay. Need direction? I mean,
Where are we right now with direction, or, we've got the bond hearing, yeah.
Thursday, so.
I think,
What's the process?
I think the process is that we need to basically approve it right now, or move it on to the bond hearing, and we can make changes at the bond hearing where we're going, based on the numbers, and we can make changes at the deliberative session also.
I would think that a motion you might want to make would be to move the project to the bond hearing with the expectation that you would get the additional information requested. And at that hearing, discuss the project as presented and any alternatives board members may have.
Yeah.
That way you get it to the bond hearing. And really what you're looking at is what the committee's recommendation is at this point in time, which is the project is proposed at the I don't have my glasses.
477.
5.477, move that to the bond hearing. Doesn't preclude the board from taking action. You could subtract money, you could add money. So, those
Or
are
we
good
could
things,
subtract
right? And you could do it at that point, all right?
Okay. Yes.
I do want to say something. I guess my sense of it is that there is agreement amongst all the parties that something has to be done at South School. And I don't think anybody has said that we don't have to take some action there. And I guess I'm one of those people who has never met a building project that they didn't like. But in this instance, my sense is also that while I know the right thing to do is to spend the $5.5 million and do everything that we talked about in the building committee, my sense is that there's disagreement in the community, significant disagreement as to the amount of money that we should spend down there. On one hand, I mean, when we talk about bonding out $1 million, we're talking about 2 cents on the tax rate, and on a $300,000 home, I think we're talking about $6 a year, if I've done my math right. So I find myself arguing with myself over $6 a year. But I can also recollect times in my lifetime when I didn't have $6, and that was a lot of money. And so I can understand how people can be similarly situated, and in certain cases, $6 can make a huge difference. So, as a board member, I'm torn. Unlike other years where we had rising enrollments, we're not so situated now. Though I agree with Dan that in 5 years, or certainly 10 years, I expect that the enrollments will continue to increase, and they won't go down. That 93 will be built, and that this is very desirable property in Londonderry, and other people will want to continue to move here, and that we'll continue to hold the school system at the high standards that I think it's held at now, and that Londonderry will be the choice. So, I mean, there are a lot of competing issues, but I think that we've got to find the middle ground where the budget committee, the school board, members of the school board, the town council can all get behind this project, because I think there is a consensus that we've got to do something down there. And Dan's right. If we don't do something this year, we'll have to come back and propose it again last year. And people have made the point that each year costs go up, and they will. And, you know, when we think we're saving money by not doing a project one year, we end up spending that and more money the next year. So I don't know where that puts us. I know we've got to advance it, and we've got to advance it now. I don't see it advancing at the full number, but it's got to advance because we've got to do something there. And personally, my personal prerogative is never to build more portables or add more portables to this system. I would never support portables to replace portables. And that is just, in my mind, a bad investment in money that we should never spend. So that puts me back to brick and mortar, and it's just a matter of coming to a number that everybody can get behind, if we can get behind it. If we can't get behind it, we just move ahead and do the best we can with what we have and come back again next year and do the same thing. But I'd like to see a number that we can all agree upon, or at least get consensus on, and go forward with that. We never get everything that we want. That's what I've learned from living in Londonderry and being involved in this. I've never gotten everything I wanted, but we always get some piece of it, and everybody can walk away feeling like they got something of what they asked for in the package. So that's my 2 cents, or $6, as it equates to right here.
Okay, I guess what I'm asking for is if I can get a motion to get this just moved to the bond hearing at the cost it is here. We'll discuss it more on Thursday night. It'll give us a little bit more time to review the numbers, ask some additional questions, and see where we want to go with this. Yes, I'm sorry, Dan?
I may be way out of bounds with this, but is there a sense of the board? Could we do a straw vote or consensus? Am I looking at 4-1? Am I looking at 5-0? Am I looking at 3-2? Is there any sense that you can give the community, or is it you're just that torn that you don't know which way you're going?
Going on what?
On building. If a conversation I've had with the public on our own, I put it out there. What number do you think the community can support? I never get an answer back. I've asked it of our committee. I've asked it of the budget. There's 2 people of the budget committee that was there. I dare say if I ask you, you're not going to have a number that the town's going to support. You don't know that till you put it on the ballot. You're delaying the inevitable. I would love to put this on and let the town vote it up or vote it down. I don't think anyone in this room knows that magic number. North School passed 2 years ago at 5.5. This has been in the capital improvement plan since 2001 at 5.5. Everyone knows who's been paying attention that this was going to cost this much money. Procon did a marvelous job getting the number down to fit it in. We excluded 2 classrooms to get the number down. We, at the insistence of the board, bid the construction contract after we had done business with Procon for, God knows, 10 years and if not 4 or 5 projects. They bid it. It was competitively bid. We negotiated it. We reduced that cost. We've done everything to drive the number below or pretty damn close to the CIP. I don't know what else you're looking for. I'd like to see you take the vote now.
Steve? Let Steve go and then you can go.
Some people may not understand this unless they were here 6 or 7 years ago. If you remember how many times the cable studio was presented to the town. It was presented to the town at the polls. It was presented to the town at town meeting. It just seemed like it kept being represented. And there was a statement that I will never forget on the floor of town meeting. And that was when they were looking for just a little more money for the cable studio, they said, well, you wouldn't build a house and not put curtains in it. And we all looked at each other in the audience, knowing that we had all built our houses and didn't put curtains in them. So that's the area that I'd like to make sure that we meet on, that we build our house. I'm with Ben. I am not looking at portables, stick-built ones, or portables on wheels. And everyone can vote me out if I run again. I won't look at portables. I want brick and mortar. But I just think we need to make sure whether we want the curtains or not. So I'd see nothing wrong with voting on this and moving it on to the bond hearing. I wrote it all down, but I'm not going to make the motion because I think that should be the responsibility of one of the members that's on the committee for the study.
Hi, again. Johanna Hayes. Just to kind of give you an idea of the impression of the population around. I was at a PTA meeting, and the presentation of the school change, the school renovation happened. I had 4 parents turn around to me and say, "Didn't we already approve this?" People approved overwhelmingly, 66%, that last year to approve over $200,000 just for plans. And a lot of them already thought that, and they all knew the price tag was $5.5 million. That number, as Dan has pointed out, has been floated around. A lot of people that I know already said they think they've already approved this for South School. So that's the impression already, at least of the society that I'm hanging out around. They thought, did something happen that we lost the funding and that we have to go back and vote it again? They don't understand what happened. They already thought this was a done deal. So that's just one impression from the populace, that at a meeting with a bunch of parents from South School, they already thought they had approved it and overwhelmingly approved it. I mean, they're willing to approve $300,000 or almost $400,000 just for plans. Just for plans. So, just again, just an impression from the populace. Thank you.
Dan?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move the 5.47 or whatever the number is.
5.447.
5.447 to the bond hearing for future discussion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank the committee on the work that they did here. I think it's a tremendous amount of work here, and please don't take the questions that we're asking here that you didn't do your due diligence. I know the work that was done on it, played on many building committees, and appreciate it. The board has a responsibility to go through the numbers here, and while you've been working with this for the last 18 months, when we see the GMP here, we got it in the last day. So this is the first time that we've seen these numbers, and we're questioning and asking the questions on this. So it's not an issue of the committee that they didn't do their job. It's just a case that we need to ask those questions so we can internalize it and feel it, because what Ben said there is the struggle I think many of us are going through. And Ben was on the committee. I know Dan's probably going through the same struggle too on the costs. And what we want, and when we're saying the number is, and it's not that, it's a psychological thing in my mind. I'm talking about me, myself. 5.5, 4.9, I want the project. We need the project. We need to get rid of those portables, okay? How do we do it to make it that the voters see that we're working with them to try to get it done? And that's the struggle I'm having. It's a penny, but it's the 5.5 versus 4.9 that they see on the ballot. It's not the penny that they're seeing. So that's the struggle I'm having. And to reiterate what Steve said and what Ben said is, I am not in favor of portables. I've done that once, not again. It's brick and mortars, and that's what we need to do, in my mind. Okay, thank you.
I have two announcements.
Go ahead.
I have 2 announcements. The first, before you all leave, you may be interested to...
Right.
Yeah.
Would you want to wrap up?
No, I just wanted to remind you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what, I have 2 announcements. I'll do the first one, and then everybody can grab it again. The town of Londonderry just hit a historic event. They had over 10,000 voters go to the polls today to vote in the New Hampshire primaries. There are approximately 1,000 paper ballots, which means they ran out of ballots and they had to print them up legally. And they use those. What that means is they won't go through the machines, so they've let us know that they expect to be running into tomorrow on the count for how that's going to turn out, because they can't use the machines. They got to do them all manually. And then my other announcements about the constitutional amendment, but
I've got two announcements just to make the audience aware. Last night at the town council's meeting, and we appreciate this, there was a discussion that we had at our previous meeting about the generator at the high school for an evacuation center. And the budget committee brought up, and there's several members of the school board that thought it might be better on the town side because they had alternative methods of funding it. The council voted 5-0 to support putting it on the town warrant article and putting it as a fund balance item. That means that they have additional funds in they have excess funds in their budget, and so it'll go on the town ballot as a zero tax impact or $0 tax impact. It's a $100,000 item, so appreciate working with the budget committee on that. Tom, I saw your email to the budget committee. It made my life and Nate's life a lot easier going there last night. Thank you very much. Okay, second thing is that there's been discussions about DVDs. And again, with the board speaking up here, I had spoken with Nate about this, and what I've asked him to do with the board's concurrence tonight is that our minutes are our written minutes, and those are our official record. However, any DVD that we make that we play on the tape, we send over to the library. We will not keep a copy. The library will have it, and they'll maintain records of it.
We can do that.
Okay, if the board's okay with that.
You're talking about the DVD of the meetings, I mean, not
Right.
like Pocahontas.
No,
Okay.
DVD of the
Just
meeting,
check.
not a problem.
Yes. Apparently, there has been
There-
one or
there's-
two requests.
There's been one or two requests, and that is not the official minutes. The minutes that we approve in here are the official minutes. Okay?
Seems easy enough.
Any questions? Okay, let's wait a second.
Why would we do that? Why would we make it?
We make a DV anyway,
Right.
and what we're saying is we'll just send it over to the library for the records there in case someone wants to look at it in the future.
How long are they gonna keep it?
Whatever they want to do with it. We have no control over it or no responsibility for it. Okay, I'm going to wait a second. Our secretary will be back in shortly.
I can talk about something that
Go ahead, why don't you talk about...
I gave her a hard copy of.
Okay, go ahead, why don't you talk about the Constitution?
And then she can do that. I'm looking to get a consensus from the board this evening. I'll be attending the School Board Association meeting this Saturday, which was scheduled from a sunny day last summer, late fall, to a sunny day this winter. And what we're looking for is we'd like to have the New Hampshire School Board Association come out in accordance with other resolutions that they have, which are very similar, and we would like them to officially oppose the constitutional amendment. We know that there's a move afoot to bring the constitutional amendment once again to the floor, and the state is making progress. The member communities of NH Cafe have been successful in getting the state to cost out an adequate education. They intend to complete that by February. They have already appropriately defined an adequate education, and come July, we're looking for them to find ways to fund that. We would like to make sure that they don't sidestep that responsibility by trying to pass a constitutional amendment, which will simply delay the process for several years. And for the Secretary's use, there is a hard copy there to your left, which Nate could give you in electronic copies. So I just look for a consensus of the board to present this at the meeting on Saturday.
So move. All set?
Okay.
You got it.
Thank you.
Okay, motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? 5-0. Nate, the general budget discussion?
When last we met, the board gave us a direction to come in with reduce the requested budget allotment to provide no increase in the tax bill based on the budget. To that end, we met with the administrative staff since that time to review various items in the budget. And I'm gonna do this with the end result and then work backwards. We made a total of $222,000 worth of reductions from what we had proposed during the budget process. The net result will be, with the general fund budget, as well as the warrant articles, including the revamped number on South School, a reduction in the tax rate of 3 cents. We would go from $10 and we would go from $12.98 to $12.95. That impact on a $300,000 home would mean that an individual would pay $8.12 less than they paid this year. On a $400,000 home, they would pay $10.82 less than they paid this year. Okay? Let me walk you through the reductions, and we spent some time with the administrators. They all left with happy faces, sorta, almost, not really. General areas. We reduced on the substitute account by $50,000. That's found on page 269. Basically, what we did was reduce it to this year's levels. Retirement, we reduced that $50,000 and we reduced it to basically this year's level. Thought long and hard about this, and I did listen to Mike Brown's argument regarding the additional position. So what we've done is that additional position that we were holding for North School growth, I've removed that from the budget. Library repair and maintenance, we reduced by $2,000. It's reduced to current experience. Business office, we reduced that line item by $8,900. We found in 2 places, and I'll get to the second one, that we double booked an item. We double booked the storage units in the business office, and we also had in Chuck, so I pulled that out. And in addition to that, we took out additional funds from the business office. Reduced $1,100 from the SPED psychological counseling line on page 350. If in fact we need that money, I've asked Brian to locate it in IDEA funds. Reduced $2,500 from adult ed purchase services, which includes the Camp Dakota field trip. We will do fundraising to offset the cost of that. High school office principal printing, reduced that by $1,600. Conferences at the high school by $1,500. High school office principal general supplies $1,500. Regular ed general supplies $3,700. High school regular ed equipment replacement $1,200. Middle school repairs, based on recent experience, $500. Middle school English and reading general supplies $900. Foreign language general supplies $600. Middle school science general supplies $3,000. Replacement equipment $2,000. Middle school office of principal printing $1,000. Middle school general supplies $3,000. Matthew Thornton North, South, and kindergarten and Moose Hill reduced by $2,000 their general supply account. Office of the Superintendent printing $2,000. We made an adjustment in FICA and we reduced that by $20,000. We did double book the software for the Adobe Suite. We had that in 2 places. I pulled that out. That gets us $233,000. Then I put back in $11,500 for additional aid time at North School. As I had mentioned earlier, we had a concern about classroom size in 5th grade, so instead of holding on to the teacher, I dropped the teacher, and I'm giving each of the 5th grade classrooms 1 additional hour aid time, so they go from 2 hours to 3. That gets us to a total of $222,000. And again, as Ron had mentioned, The town council, with the assistance of members of the budget committee, agreed to pick up the generator. So, when all is said and done, we wind up with a decrease in the total property tax by 3 cents. And the reason the numbers aren't gonna match up 98 and 96, that's the way Excel rounds off. The reduction of 3 cents, so the tax rate would be $12.96, $12.95 versus $12.98. Now, keep in mind too, that you'll see when you look at local ed property tax, we're from 1067 to 1081. That's because the statewide property tax dropped to 215 from the 231 this year. All right, so and if you just added that on, it would have been 12. You would have gotten to 1083. So I believe we have met what the board had asked in getting actually a little bit lower tax rate than we have this year, a lower tax bill than we have this year. So not only is the rate lower, but the total impact is lower.
Comments from the board?
Nate.
George?
As always, thank you very much for accomplishing this and without having any of the administrators string you up or any of us up for that matter. The only question I do have is on the double book stuff.
Yes.
Can you really count that as reducing it if it's really like an error? So you should be at like 200,000?
No, this is the way I looked at it. You asked me to get below, you asked me to get to a flat tax rate.
Yes.
I took you below that, now didn't I? I took you below that.
I think it was flat tax rate and the reduction.
Right?
Yeah, I think that was it.
It wasn't an or.
I just wanted to clarify that to make sure I understood.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nate.
But I wanted to be honest about it, so there it is.
I had no doubt that you were honest about it.
Other questions from the board? Budget committee?
I have a question. You said you reduced FICA by $20,000.
Yes.
How do you do that? If the town share, or the employer's share is 0.0765%, that translates to $261,438 in wages. So how do you just...
Well, Tom, that FICA number was based on retirement payouts that we have, plus the teacher position that we cut out, and what we'd have to pay for retirement. So that's the way it works. When we initially presented the budget, we presented the FICA number at 97%, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
97% of what it would have been based on all the salary accounts that we had in there, including payouts for retirement and so forth. So what we then did was we went back, we took another $20,000 out, predicated on adjustments that we made here as far as retirement payout is concerned, the dropping of the teacher. So that's where we got.
Section 125.
And section 125. So that's where we got the reduction in 20. So if we took, in essence, all the salary accounts or salary-related accounts, we would be, that were existing in the budget as it was, we'd be $100,000, roughly $100,000 more than what's in the budget. Because we made the adjustments, we were able to be about $100,000 less than what the original projection was. And then with these adjustments, we felt comfortable enough to drop the FICA by another $20,000.
Well, perhaps I'm just slow, but it's a flat rate of 0.0765 of wages, whether it's somebody accumulated days off and he's going to cash out, or it's an active employee. So if you're reducing it by that, doesn't that mean the corresponding $261,000 in wages is?
No, I think we've explained it incorrectly. I think that's the problem.
The majority of the originally what we do, Tom, and we've done this in the past years, we did exactly what you said. We take the total salaries that we expended for the district and apply the appropriate rate, come up with a number. What we've done is slowly and Dan has brought this to our attention, we have a fair amount of people that take advantage of Section 125 plans, which is pre-tax. So they don't pay FICA on the amount of deductions that they take. So when we went back the last couple of years, this year, in the first go-around of the number presented by superintendent's budget, we used a prorated of 97.5% of what the amount should be, knowing that there's a certain amount of money coming out of Section 125.
Okay.
That equated to about $76,000. When we went back and when Dan said, okay, just go back and make sure you've got all the Section 125s corrected, we went back and actually did it in detail, account by account, and came up with, I think it was $19,900 something. We rounded it to $20,000. So in effect, from what we've done in the past, which take the full value of salaries at the rate, we've deducted roughly a value of $100,000 from pre-tax deductions that employees take effect, and reduced the budget for this account.
Okay.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay. Wait a second, I think I lost a couple board members.
Still got enough.
We still got it. Yeah, but if we're gonna vote on this, we should have everybody here. Any other questions from the Budget Committee? Audience? Mike, anything? Go ahead.
Just real quick, so this would be a budget as it currently stands, 275,884 below default?
That is correct.
Yes.
That's, yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Nate, is that a true statement that it's below default? Because wasn't there something we took off both sides of this when you balanced it out?
What you've got now, if you look at the default budget increase versus the budget increase, we made those adjustments. If the default budget would have increased by, if we took everything into account, $1,655,679. The budget as proposed now is the increase is $1,379,795. So that's where Mike got his figure.
Okay.
All right? Because you're absolutely correct. Some of the reductions that we made in here come off both sides of both sides.
Just not that you went away and you said, oops. But that's the news, okay. Peter.
It's not the operating budget, but again, just want to mention for clarity, on the dollars for the South School project that we just discussed, we have put the new number in at
96.35.
was it?
96.
96.35, using 3.5% instead of the 5% interest rate that we originally started.
Did the 10 cents and 11 cents that you put up here for the 5.5 show the 3.5%?
Yes.
Okay.
All the numbers that were there were at a projected rate of 3.5.
Okay. I guess,
So that helped bring down.
okay.
I guess we should get them.
Where are,
You want me to go see if I can?
They might not have realized that they individually left.
yes, can we see if we can find them for a second?
Peter went.
Peter went to get them?
Let me look.
Well, he went that way.
Someone went this way?
So we know they're not talking to each other.
Definitely not talking to each other. Let me just say,
Oh,
here they come.
Oh, now
Oh,
we gotta
we're
get
wrong.
we don't have a superintendent.
No, we got an assistant. Okay, we're all set on this. Can I have a motion to accept the superintendent's cuts and the final numbers?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 And again, thank you very much, and thank you very much to the administration for the work they did on this. We appreciate it
Don,
deeply.
do we need a motion
to
to
the
move it
Budget
to the
Committee.
budget hearing?
Do we need a motion to move this to the?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that what we just did?
no, we just accepted the cuts. Have a motion to move this to the budget hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, 5-0. Okay, warrant articles.
You have a copy of the draft warrant. starting obviously with the election of officers and general operating
I don't
budget.
think so.
Can I say, wouldn't it be great if 10,000 people showed up for the March election?
Wouldn't it be great if 1,000 came to the deliberative
The,
session?
I'll let you know, the high school gym doesn't hold 10,000 people for. Yeah.
I'm willing to broadcast every gymnasium that we've got if necessary.
Ron?
Yes.
How do you want to do this? Because we have to move these individually to
Right.
the,
We just,
so.
Why don't we start
do
off
we need
with
to
a-
read them, or? I just want to
Not
move
at
them.
this point, no.
we'll do that at the bar,
Okay, how about,
Thursday.
how about if I start, if you don't mind, Ron?
Why don't you start going
And I
now?
guess we already moved Article 2 and 3, which was the budget and the South School project.
Yes.
So I'll start with Article 4.
Yep. let's
That's
start.
the Londonderry Support Staff, Local 1801 Bargaining Agreement. Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to move this to the budget hearing.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Article 5.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move Article 5 to the budget hearing, or make a motion to move it to the budget hearing. Authorization for special meeting on cost items. If Article 4 is defeated, this authorizes the governing body to call one special meeting to address Article 4 cost items.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Mr. Chair, I'd like to move, Article 6,
Make it easy for Mary.
the Londonderry Custodian, Local 1801 Bargaining Agreement to the budget hearing.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Keep going.
Article 7, I'd like to make a motion that we move Article 7, an authorization for a special meeting, to the bond hearing.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Next one?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move Article 8, school lunch and federal projects, to the bond hearing.
Second.
No, to the
I'm sorry, to the warrant.
warrants.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Second to the warrant.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next?
I'd like to move, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move Article 9, special article for the expendable maintenance trust fund, to the warrant.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move Article 10, the girls varsity.
Okay,
No, we don't need
Don't
that
think we-
one.
We don't need, you've got a new version.
Automatically.
I got a new version. Okay.
Talking about the girls? Okay. Yeah, we don't move that, it's just there.
We
It's
don't
just
have-
there?
It's just there?
In the Fields article.
Okay.
Let's just like make a comment on, just make a comment on Article 10. I happened to look through last year's book, and the lacrosse coach only passed by about 50 or so votes.
Yes. Wasn't.
It was
come to-
close.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, at what point, may want to do it tonight or Thursday, you want to address motion buys, the second and presentation?
We'll do that Thursday night. This is getting late here. Let's try to get through the rest of it. Tom?
I'll talk to Connie and I'll email you tomorrow. It's coming. I'm gonna say a week and a half is when we gotta start getting the book over to the printing. 18th? The 18th, I'm being told, is when we gotta get our materials to the printer. Not on the warrant. I passed out a separate sheet of paper. You asked us to put together some language for a benefits trust fund. You have that in front of you. The top part was the generator. We were gonna address that, but that got taken care of, as you noted. So there's a draft, and what we'll do is, if consensus of the board, if you want us to include this as Article 12 on the warrant, what's left is a number up to, and that's the amount that gets charged against the tax rate. So even if you say up to 200, it's assumed by DRA that the 200, even though maybe at the end of the year, we only had 150, the tax impact on the warrant and so forth will show whatever 200,000 is.
Okay. Again, I brought this up just trying to look forward on the retirement portion that's coming up. The fact is to spread it over 2 years idea. It was an idea of mine, what the board thinks about it, or if it's a bad idea, we can take it off. We don't have to put it on the warrant. So,
Just to let everyone know, what I did was, the way I wrote it, in order to get the tax rate, as we talked about, on the tax rate sheet, you'll note, where it says estimated fund balance to be used, on the spreadsheet, I have 500. So if I didn't include that in here, and we tapped into it, then I'm going both ends. So that's why you see that number, that says the first 500 goes to the tax rate, and you could put the number 200 in the space. So anything from 501 to 700 would go towards this article.
So, let me ask this question. Then this would simply give the board the ability at year end to appropriately reserve funds for this liability of people retiring.
Yes.
no, this is not,
If
This
I
is
could
for,
I could explain.
Yeah,
All right.
because it's,
As the board knows, and probably the budget committee knows, the state retirement system is undergoing a review. I found out today that a report is gonna be going to the legislature as well as the trustees. And they've looked at increasing the viability of the retirement system. There is going to be an increase in the employee share as well as the employer share. Now, what I'm hearing, and there has been no action taken at this point because it still has to wind its way through the legislature, that it could be as much as 4 points. So that would mean that not for fiscal year 9, but fiscal year 10, you could see a big increase in what the district would have to contribute as part of each employee's retirement to the state retirement system. A function of this warrant article would be, if you had it over a 2-year period, would be to allow you to build up a savings account, so to speak, so that the tax rate doesn't take that big a jump. It helps to offset the jump on the increase that the district would be required to pay towards retirement. So it kind of smooths the bump out by using existing tax dollars. So this way, by doing it this way, it doesn't have an impact on the tax rate because you're doing it from excess revenue and fund balance, allows you to put the money aside, in essence, which you then could utilize to pay. And I think, and Peter and I haven't really discussed it, but I think the way you would do it is when we got the increase in the retirement, that you would show that increase in the budget on the appropriation side and then show it, in essence, as revenue on the other side, so it kind of offsets some of the increase. But in fiscal year 10, going into fiscal year 10, there's gonna be an impact on the employee. The employee's gonna have to contribute more, and the employer, I can't tell you right now whether it's gonna be 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, whatever the case may be. But this does give you an option to kind of offset the cost a little bit, so that you don't get this huge jump one year and you kind of offset it a little bit.
you wouldn't be required to use it, it would be there to
Right.
use at its discretion.
Steve.
where I'm going, I wanted the public to understand clearly what it is. But where I'm going is I'd also like to make absolutely sure that our accountants do not come to us in a few years and say we have an improper accounting practice. I just want to make absolutely sure that our accounting report is as clean as this one is,
But
forever.
this was worked with, written in conjunction with Attorney Graham to understand what I wanted. I started it, he made some adjustments. So this was written in conjunction with Attorney Graham, understanding the RSAs and what the intent of the board is.
I've had to, Steve, to help assuage some of your concerns, I've had conversations with a number of superintendents over the past week, talking about this idea and some other individuals. And in fact, this stuff has been done in the past, where you set up a benefit trust article and manage it that way. And naming the board as an agent, you handle this basically the same way you do the maintenance trust. Administration comes in, say, we recommend X amount of dollars, you take an action in public, yep, and then it goes that way. So the board has control over it, so we can't just take the money and use it for Dan's new car. Ben's maybe, but not Dan's, so.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So this anticipated increase in retirement benefits or costs will occur in fiscal year '09, '10?
No, fiscal year 10.
Ending in
Yes, 09,
'10.
Yeah.
So it'll be '09, '10.
Right.
Yeah, I don't understand what this accomplishes, because we're now talking about the budget for '08, '09.
Correct.
That's the one currently in front of us. And if we were to approve this, it would say that any monies in excess of $500,000 up to a certain amount remaining at the end of '08,
Right.
'09 would be available in this trust,
Right.
with the intention that we would apply it to expenditures in '09, '10.
No, no, here's what I would suggest that you do. That you do that, and then the following year, you have another warrant article to put additional monies in for 10. So what you're doing is you're basically banking this money. If there's a 4-point increase, that's gonna be a significant increase in our budget. So if it's 4 points, my guess is it might even be 2% on our budget.
On the expenditure side.
Right.
But on the tax rate side, the effect is zero.
That's right.
Because you're gonna take the money that's left over at '09,
That's correct.
roll it into '10 anyway.
Yes.
So from a tax rate calculation, there's no impact.
The idea
But
of.
it would have been
No.
returned.
You
It
give
would
it
be
back.
returned.
But it's returned by,
It reduces the
it's
tax
our
rate.
beginning number that we use to calculate our tax
Right.
rate.
But
So it flows through, whether you're gonna put it up on the revenue line or put it in the beginning balance for the calculation of the tax rate.
But what it does do is, this way, it gives you a year up on it. So, for instance, if you were able to bank, just for the sake of argument, $200,000
Right.
based on this year's budget, and then do this
On '09.
on '09.
Yes.
All right? Then, looking at '10,
Yes.
and let's say we had a combination of excess revenue and fund balance of another 200, you're then able to put $400,000 towards offsetting the cost, as opposed to 200.
When does the cost occur?
The cost would occur in fiscal year 10.
When we're here next year,
But
thinking of the budget, you'll get an increase of X dollars in retirement that would spike the expenditures and then spike the tax rate.
But it's gonna hit the expenditure line, the budget line, regardless of what we do here.
Correct.
Yes, but it's offset by your revenue side.
Ron?
What I was trying to do with this is, my thought was, if we had a $600,000 increase, pay $400,000 in '10, and then $200,000 in there in the tax rate type of arrangement on this. Yeah.
I think I agree with the basic premise that Ben's saying. It doesn't really have, because what we return to the taxpayers each and every year is supposed to be monitored through our own diligence to our budget. So when we present a budget, we're not looking for an excess of $600,000 or some number that we can forecast to put into this. So we might be misleading some people where on a maintenance trust fund or the SPED trust fund that we put in about 7-8 years ago, we had specific placement for it, and we put it out to the voters and said, this is the type of money we're trying to raise in the event that we had not a catastrophic, but we had an excess of SPED placements in that particular period, or we pigeonhole and particularly identify for the voters what our anticipated requirements are for our maintenance trust fund. I don't see this here, because if we have, let's say we have an excess balance at the end of the year of $400,000, we have returned it to the taxpayers. Now we're saying, well, if anything over $500,000, it's the board's discretion whether they want to do this or not, because we can't commit next year's board to this anyhow. Is that not true? because we're saying this is at the board's prerogative with this.
But this is-
And I don't see any big benefit because we return, let's say we return $600,000, and then in the next year it's $600,000, so I don't see, if you were talking maybe building up a reserve for a number of years,
I think that in.
I don't get it for 1 year.
Okay, Dan, I think.
Is that what you were saying, Ben?
Yeah, I think the reason I think this is a good idea is that we know this train is coming down the road. We know that in fiscal year 2010, there's gonna be a big spike, whether it's 2%, 3%, 4% in retirement. So, if in fact, we're lucky enough to have a fund balance over 500 because of excess revenue balance, and you put that money aside, knowing that a following fiscal year, there's gonna be a big jump, it helps to level out the tax rate impact when that first one hits. So people are, there's a step, there's not that giant spike. Because your point is well taken on the second year, so that, for instance, if at the end of fiscal year 9, there's a fund balance of $400,000, that's gonna show up on the revenue side. If you've already put aside $200,000, you now have $600,000 in a sense to offset the impact on the tax rate for what we know is going to be a substantial increase in retirement. So it kind of levels, it's almost the same idea to a degree as setting up a trust fund and trying to maintain that cost at a given level. So being that we know this is going to happen 2 fiscal years from now, if there is money left over, we're putting that aside to help offset that increase, as well as whatever we've got for excess revenue or fund balance the following year to offset the impact on the tax rate. And to me, knowing that it could be a significant increase, that made some sense in being able to put that money aside to offset the spike in the tax rate.
Sean?
So what we'd be looking at is a retirement trust fund, basically?
My thought was, and I think it's the 200,000 I would be looking at, and I was just looking at it for, my personal thing was 1 year, just to offset it for a double year type of deal, to take it, yes, it's gonna go up in the revenue side, in the expense side, but the revenue side would get a little extra money, so, and then the following year you're paying for it, so you don't hit the taxpayer one. That was just a thought about it, and, you know, I'll defer to the other board members on what they want, it was just an idea I had.
Well,
I
it
don't
makes
see it.
sense from the standpoint of it's kind of like, you know, now with oil prices and you're putting money, you know, Fitful, say, we'll use him as an example. You're taking money and you're putting it towards your expected fuel costs. And, you know, if you are lucky enough to not pay over, you'll get the money back or put it towards next year. And to avoid spikes of what we're talking about, and I understand it is coming down the track, like Nate said, it probably would make some sense to do that in order so that, you know, come next January when, you know, my credit union gets my mortgage payment and they tell me my escrow account's gonna get bounced out of the world, it would probably make a lot more sense to the residents if they had something in place from you guys before the voters to try to level it out so that it's not a huge spike. So I think that's probably a good idea to be discussed.
Steve?
I mean, one problem with this is if we did a good job beating Nate up on this list, and we do a good job managing the district during the year, you won't have any money to put in there.
You might not, but you might not, absolutely.
Because
That's correct. That's correct, but it does, all it does though is give you an
The
additional.
ability.
Yeah, it gives you the ability to do that. So just the way we did the special ed trust fund, said amount not to exceed X. And so it was the intent of the board to get it up to $100,000, which we did over a period of time. So we may only be able to put, let's say for the sake of argument, $25 in there, you know, and it may be an exercise in futility, but it does give you an option. Also, too, Steve, on your point, when we look at the fund balance, the fund balance is also composed of excess revenue. So when we go to set the tax rate, all right, the state may say at that time, your catastrophic aid is X, your Medicaid is Y, your other aid is Z. And then during the course of the year, all of a sudden the state, as they've done in the past, gives us more money. Because we're getting that more money, we can't spend it. So that sits there as revenue. So then you have that option of that revenue to flop it over. So our problem, if you wanna call it a problem.
We saw that with 616, when it took out 302, there were some communities in New Hampshire, they hadn't,
That's right.
they didn't know what to do with the money.
That's right.
I mean, they knew what to do with it,
They couldn't.
They couldn't spend it.
they couldn't use it.
They couldn't spend it, and the same thing, and as you guys know, we can't have an unreserved fund balance at the end, like the town can. So if there's money left over at the end of the year for the town, they can take that pot of money and say, we're putting it over here, we're gonna keep it for something, whatever we wanna do. Ours all goes back to offset the tax rate. So with this mechanism, knowing that we've got a train coming at us down the road, if in fact there's this additional money, because there's additional revenue that came in, or some extra fund balance, a combination of two, it allows you to put that money aside to offset some of the impact that we may have in fiscal year 10. Now, we'll cover all of it, no, but if it's a couple $100,000 that we knew ahead of time to offset it, a couple $100,000 is, that's 6 cents on their present, you know.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Excuse me? No.
No, no.
Go ahead.
If you were saying that you were gonna take money in excess of $500,000 at the end of fiscal year '09, put it in a
No,
trust.
no.
Oh, wait,
Oh, wait,
June
08.
30,
oh, wait. This is just for the fund balance from this year's
Fund balance
budget.
this
Dan.
year.
You're talking about this year's fund balance?
Yes.
And then you're skipping '09 and expending it in '10?
I think you'd also be doing this in '09.
Well, what it does is it gives you an option. If you do it based on fund balance for the fiscal year '08, all right, and let's say, just for the sake of argument, it's $200,000. When we look at fiscal year 10,
you know you have.
we would be looking at whatever fund balance for fiscal year 9, which we would handle basically the way we're doing it now. We anticipate that based on fund balance and excess revenues, we're gonna use $500,000 to offset.
So you're
So-
saying that this warrant article is to take money in excess of $500,000 out of fiscal year '08?
Yes,
Yes,
I didn't understand that either.
yes,
Ben.
so that
So
when
the
we're
current
here,
fiscal year that we're in?
correct.
Right.
so that
Correct.
when we're here a year from now, we will already know that there is $100,000 that was available to be kept, to be
And we're
used for
allowed to do
revenue.
that?
Yes,
The old 10
yes.
budget process.
I probably did a poor job in explaining it. If, whatever fund balance we have at the end of this year, combination of revenue and fund balance, that goes to offset the tax rate for FY '09. All right?
So we have to readjust if this
No.
passes?
No.
No, what we're saying is, we put in this budget on the revenue side, $500,000 budget balance, combination of revenue.
Right.
What we're saying with this warrant article is, if in fact there is a balance above 500,000, combination of revenue and fund balance, then it would go into this account. That's FY '08 money, right? So when looking at 10, if there's a balance in the FY '09 budget, that obviously would go to offset the tax for FY '10. In addition to that, you've got whatever pot of money we've got from FY '08 that you could also apply as revenue to offset what we know is gonna be a spike in the retirement rates. So it's kind of a hedge against an increase, in essence, is what it is.
Consensus of the board.
I'm
Go
okay.
ahead.
Oh.
I just, how can you do that if, to FY '08's budget and effectively the surplus from that year, when people voted on that in March of '07? I can see you doing that going forward, but how can you do it for whatever's left over this year?
Oh, you certainly can, because what you're doing is you're posting a warrant on. You got an article on, and you're saying to the voters, if there's money left over from the FY08 budget, can it be used in this manner, which is establishment of a maintenance, a benefits trust, for lack of a better term. It's the exact same thing we did a number of years back with the special ed trust fund, where we said to the voters, if there's money left over because of excess revenue or fund balance, would you like to place it in a special ed trust fund as a hedge, in essence, against unanticipated special ed placements? So the voters are warned, and they're also told, it basically said, okay, if you got some money left over, as opposed to using that to drop my tax rate for FY09, put it aside in this trust for future costs.
The problem I have, just conceptually, is the people that paid that FY08 tax bill may not be the same people who are now gonna vote on it in FY09.
That's true, Tom.
But so you can do that.
Yeah, because it's simply an action of, in this case, it's an action of our legislative body, which is people going to the polls. So, yeah, you can, because you may not get the same people who voted.
You're not gonna get the same people.
But that's the legislative body is allowed to do that.
Okay. Consensus of the board?
I just want to be absolutely sure that we don't run into this interfund activity issue or any improper accounting practices.
Can we check with our accountant
If
before
you said you
Thursday
checked,
night?
I think I asked this.
Well, this is a legal issue. This is really an accounting issue, a legal.
Want to make sure with the accountant that we don't come back with an unfavorable point on that. Just check with him on that.
Sure.
Okay?
Thank you.
I've got to think some more about this. That and this on with South School, I'm just
Okay.
thinking in terms of, is it too crowded? Is this hard to understand?
And an inappropriate side conversation, I said to Ron, this is going to be very difficult for people to get their arms around.
Right.
Okay. If that's the consensus of the board, that's fine. I mean,
I think it's
just-
I think it's a good concept, but it's going to be very difficult
I
for
guess,
people to get their
you
hands
know,
around.
it becomes obviously the board's decision. But when Ron mentioned to me, I thought it was a good idea to at least give you that option, knowing that we got this train coming down the road.
Right.
So, let me be a wise guy about this just for a second. We're always told we should operate more like a business. A business knows they're gonna have an expense 2 years down the road, and they don't know if in fact they can swallow that entire increase in that 1 year. What do? They put money aside in anticipation of that huge expense. So whether it's a capital expense or something else.
It's not my business.
No.
Don't you
Okay.
lay people off, Dan?
But,
That's what happens.
but, that I think is an appropriate thing to do. If we didn't know this, and if it was normal course of business, I'd say, don't even bother. But we do know in this particular set of circumstances that there is going to be an increase in retirement contribution.
Can we take another cut at like rewording it, because it does read tough.
Well, we will put June 30, 2008, and I'll put in brackets fiscal year 2008.
Can I ask about it, just to get this thing moving? Can we move this to the warrant, and if we decide on Thursday night we don't want to do it, we just vote it out and we just take it off the warrant at that? Can we take?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fair
Ron-
enough.
Ron, I'll make a motion to move the benefit trust fund to the warrant.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No, 4-1. Okay. Next item. Jesus Christ.
Did you say?
What else do we have?
Oh, God.
Starting to look like a town council meeting.
It is. Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes.
make a suggestion?
I'm going to eliminate the South Sioux clusters. The policies are going.
Right.
Is there some other stuff you want to take out? I'm more than
No,
willing.
and I can just say, read the December enrollment report. If you have a
Yeah.
question, email me. Okay.
Okay. I agree with that. Okay.
I hate to, but on that point, a parent came up with an interesting fact tonight, and they said that there's 2,000 children under the age of 5 in Londonderry.
They got better information than we do.
Should find out, seriously,
Should have
find out.
asked.
Yeah, because, well, it wasn't appropriate at that time, but maybe if we could search the name in the minutes and just check with
They
the,
must be the children from the middle school staff. Based on the number of maternities.
Okay, let's get back here.
I think that's politically.
Okay, we've got the lease
really
options.
can't do
Peter, you want to get that moving?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'll tell you the
unfortunately, I have to
financial
come
sheet, huh?
back and say that financial institution that we approved and thought we had a good rate from CalFirst, didn't like something, and I say that because I never got a definitive answer. The only answer I got back was an email from the rep that we work with that said we had been denied access. I asked why, he said that's what he got from the credit department. Asked if I could usually, when there's an issue, there's always a question from Moody's and whatever, talk to them directly. The answer was no, I'm sorry, and that was that. So I have since gone ahead and worked with the second group that came in, MCL out of Vermont. You have the rate of 3.97. They have already approved us, or pre-approved us, I guess, for lack of better words, obviously pending board. And I'm just asking that we can go ahead and finalize this capital lease at 3.97 with MCL. Can we get this done?
Okay, discussion? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Make sure you get that signed.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. And, is there anything else that that was the capital lease action. Let's go to student council.
Oh, that was a long time.
Yes, it was.
Hope you don't have tests tomorrow, Lisa.
I do, actually.
Should have left.
Feel free to leave.
Just, yeah, if you got to test us on, go.
Oh, I know. Student council is preparing for the semi-formal, and it's basically most of what we're doing right now. Something I found out about yesterday that I thought was kind of interesting was the Library Media Center is putting together an advisory board of all students, and they're trying to just find out what the students need for resources and if there's anything more that they can do. And so I thought that was really good of them and something that I would like to participate in. And yesterday there was a mock primary held. I think Mr. Vaughn was the one that put it all together, and during all the lunches, the students went and voted on who they thought was their best candidate for president, and I think Obama won for the Democrats and McCain for the Republicans, but I'm not sure on those. Is that right? Yep. So, and other than that, we're just getting ready for finals. So.
Pat?
Okay, I'll try to be quick.
Yes, please.
Yeah. 2 pages. Let's see. I have to talk about the Leap in kindergarten students had a special visit from Santa Claus prior to the Christmas break, and what a special treat it was for the staff and parents to watch the children's eyes and faces light up as they saw Santa walk in the room. And it's a toss-up as to who enjoys this visit more. On Wednesday, December 19th, 2 first-grade classes from North School went to the Veterans Hospital to sing holiday songs. Mrs. Henderson and Mrs. Matthews took their classes for a wonderful performance, and the bus company donated the bus for this event. Trimester progress reports will go home with all 4th and 5th grade students this Friday. Matthew Thornton's community outreach program this month is they're collecting items to send to the troops in Iraq. They're looking for trial-size items and individual serving-size snack items, as well as hand warmers, AT&T international phone cards, and AA and AAA batteries. Also, they're accepting cash donations to offset the shipping costs. And if anyone cares to donate, the items can be dropped off at Matthew Thornton before the 31st. On Friday, the 4th and 5th grade representatives to the Science Curriculum Committee will be meeting to start looking at science benchmarks and aligning those along with new science curriculum materials. At the middle school, 137 students participated in the American Mathematics Competition for 2007. LMS was recognized as a school of merit for their outstanding proficiency with a team score of 50 or better. The overall school winner was Ragnar Kemp. Top eighth grade scorers were tied Sarah Conoyer and Devereaux Geiger, Jimmy Giles and Dan Kelly. And the top seventh grader was Ragnar again, and the top sixth grader was Jonathan Klutch. 15 gold certificate winners, 16 silver winners, and 19 bronze. Congratulations to all, and a message to the high school math team to get ready for some great numbers coming up. Guidance department at the high school, Wednesday the 9th, their final senior parent mini course will be held for completion of the FAFSA, and anyone who's put a child into college knows how much fun that is. Wednesday the 16th, they're doing the Revere College bus trip, and on Thursday the 31st, they're starting the process with the junior parents, and they're having a breakfast for them from 7:30 to 9 a.m. From Londonderry High School teacher Karen McDonald, on December 11th and 12th, the ACT program at the high school held their 9th annual craft fair. The students worked very hard all fall long leading up to the fair, and the ACT students had several different jobs during the two-day event. They took turns greeting customers at the door. They offered refreshments, they sold raffle tickets, stocked the shelves, bagged the purchases, and were the cashiers. The fair is always well received, and during the weeks leading up to the fair, many of the high school staff pop in to see what kind of items will be sold. Shoppers came from all over. First and foremost were the high school staff, middle school and elementary school personnel, bus drivers, district office staff, police officers, parents, and others. After the fair, the students go shopping at the mall, with the emphasis being shopping for as they take some of their profits. And they make selections and purchase gifts for Toys for Tots. It's always an interesting experience that the different groups making their purchases have to come to an agreement as to what they will buy before they're given the money to actually purchase the item. Sometimes it's hard to teach the concept of charity to these kids, so they chose Toys for Tots because the donation is right there in the mall. The donation sled is right there in the mall, so the students are able to make their purchase and then leave it there and realize they're not going to get to keep what they purchased. The American Association of School Librarians is pleased to announce it's going to sponsor Victoria Good and another woman from Nebraska for the 2008 ALA Emerging Leaders Program. Vicki currently serves as a library media specialist at Londonderry High. The Emerging Leaders Program enables newer librarians from across the country to participate in work groups, network with peers, gain an inside look into the ALA structure, and have an opportunity to serve the profession in a leadership capacity. Vicki will receive $1,000 for travel expenses when she attends the ALA Midwinter Meeting and Annual Conference. And congratulations to Vicki and also to Mrs. Bowd and her staff. They continuously put forth outstanding award winners. And district professional staff spent the day at workshops and meetings related to their area of expertise. All elementary staff attended a mental health primer about the role schools and educators play in supporting the mental health of all children. Teachers also spent time on curriculum work, discussing and sharing lesson plans, reviewing progress in the core reading program, common exam, and benchmark development. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Committee reports?
I went to a South School Building Committee meeting.
Tell us more.
I had to tell Ben where it was, though. We got lost.
I almost got to South School before I figured out I wasn't down there.
George?
No, I had nothing.
I spoke about the town council already. Steve?
I missed the high school certification meeting today. I was able to notify them at the last minute. Our office was short-staffed because they needed help at the polls. But I'll follow up with them because they did meet for several hours this afternoon on that.
Dan?
I went with Ben.
Okay, can I have any other comments? May I have a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A through A3, Section 2, A through F?
So moved.
Second?
Aye, Dan Beaver, or second.
Second, roll call. Ron Camper.
Steve Young. And we just moved everything else to the next
We're gonna move everything else to the next meeting.
meeting.
Okay, and let's go in the other room so we can get it going.
Maybe this will help, I don't know.